Yeah, the 199th North London derby, but that extra special ingredient, apart from both sides needing a win here this afternoon, this always amazing and entertaining game. It's, of course, the start of the Tudor period. Igor Tudor in charge of Tottenham. He wears IT on his training top. Well, this is the IT crowd, isn't it then now? But a bit of a reboot, I guess you could say, in the head coach's office. Gary Neville joins me. Who needs this most, Gary? Arsenal looking over their shoulder at City, or Spurs looking over their shoulder at relegation?
I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because it feels like a crunch game, big game for both teams. I mean, the fact that this great club find themselves in this position, I mean, last year they were flirting with relegation, but really always safe. They're always safe. This year they're in a bit of bother. They need to win, and it's an appalling reflection really of the players, the quality that they have here in this squad, the internationals that they have playing for them, that they find themselves 2 years on the bounce in and around relegation. And with Forest, West Ham both actually looking okay, currently, and I think they'll pick up points. Tottenham are going to need to do something quite quickly and need something to get sort of clear of this sort of mess that they're in. For Arsenal, we know. I mean, it's a title run in. It's not quite in the sort of home straight, but it's getting up to that point now where every sort of drop point will matter. And there's a pressure. What pressure they're currently feeling, we don't know. But this afternoon at 4:30, we'll get a good understanding of the impact of that game that they had in midweek against Wolves, and obviously what City did last night.
To have a new head coach in charge with what he brings, and his last 5 clubs, he's won his first game in charge, and then of course they have a good run, and then maybe things tail off. Could Arsenal have done without that? Would they have much preferred to come here under the old regime?
Maybe, because obviously they were in a sort of real dip, Spurs, but look, Arsenal have got to look at what basically is in front of them, which is a team that they can beat. I mean, it is a North London derby, there's the added pressure of the title, the point it is in the season, what they've done against Wolves, Tottenham having a new coach. You can look at all those things, but if Arsenal play well here today, then there will only be one winner.
The word bottle has been used again. Of course, they've been here before. They've had blips this season. They've had blips in previous seasons. Do you think what's happened to them over the last couple of league games will be an inspiration in the dressing room, or will they have it at the back of their minds in a bad way?
It's interesting, that word. I stopped using it after I called Chelsea bottle jobs maybe 2 or 3 years ago because it carries a meaning that ultimately I think people don't like anymore. It seems deemed as being too aggressive. Yeah. I mean, quite simply, back in the day, if we basically were hunted down by Arsenal, which we were in '98, we gave up a 10-point lead, we deemed as bottled it. I don't think Arsenal are in that situation. I always thought that it would be tight. I don't think you ever get given your first league title for a long time on a plate. I mean, let's be clear, City are not just going to let them walk over the line. So what Arsenal have got to do now is just knuckle down, get a little bit of form back. Maybe dig out some victories, but it's important. They've got a group of players and a manager who have not been there before. I think Gabriel Jesus is the only one who's won a title. So, look, it'll be interesting to see how they are. But I'm looking forward to this next 10, 12 games. I really am. This is the point in the season where, Arsenal have been there 3 times before. They know what this feels like. They're going to make that count this time, but obviously make sure that they get a different result.
Got 12 players unavailable, Spurs. No other team in the Premier League is badly hit by injuries. Obviously, there's the suspension to the captain as well. When you look at the form of West Ham, maybe could have picked up some more points recently. Nottingham Forest leads. Are they in a relegation battle if they lose today?
They're in a relegation battle anyway. I mean, they are in a massive relegation battle because, to be fair, this idea that, this group of players, they shouldn't be anywhere near it. But the injuries, I mean, we were led to believe last season that the reason that they had injuries was because of Ange Postecoglou's style of play and this sort of what would be all action, full front press, always sort of running the maximum. And that's why these Spurs players were breaking down. What we're finding this year is under a completely different manager, a completely different coach and a completely different style is that they're still breaking down. So there's a question either over their robustness and the recruitment in terms of signing players who aren't capable of being available for the acceptable time that you would want them, which is over 75-80% of games, or you can have a look at maybe other things like medical departments and other things. But honestly, they've got a massive amount of injuries to key players, but they can't use that as an excuse because the players that are out there are going to have to try and save this football club from going down, which it just seems unthinkable.
Which comes to you over this long weekend in 2 parts. Tomorrow evening after the game at Everton, Gary will deal with all of the other issues in the Premier League, principally around the chase to be in the Champions League. But tonight we're going to deal with the race to be champions. We're at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium where Arsenal have taken a big stride in that race with a big win against their neighbours Tottenham. There was a lot of jeopardy around it, Gary, to start with. We know all the noise. Noise has been a pertinent word this week after what happened at Wolves. How did Arsenal deal with it?
Really well in the end. I think at half-time they maybe look back at that first half and think, how are we in this position, 1-1? We're so dominant in the game. Tottenham had only had one touch in their box. And just little things. You know, there was a Hincapié little mistake. There was a little Gabriel and Saliba one. And I think Timber made one with a little pass into midfield. Then Declan Rice goes and makes the ultimate one, which gives the goal away. And you're thinking, you're causing your own problems here, and where's this coming from? Because these are the ones that have been the best defence in the league, the most reliable characters. They've been brilliant all season. David Raya makes the mistake on Wednesday night, so you're starting to think, is it becoming contagious, these little errors that are going to cost a team who are dominant in football matches? But if you do make individual errors in moments, then you're still going to cause yourself a problem. So, but in the end, it was really important what happened today, because look, it's too early really for that real title pressure. We're not quite in the home straight. You know, it's 10 games to go, so there's no doubt games are, you know, eroding fast. But I think, to be fair, this is going to get really hot when it gets into April, as we know. But you're now getting to a point where games really do count, and when you drop points, and Arsenal have been on a difficult run. So you're looking at them today and thinking, right, okay, we signalled out, or I did, David Raya before the game, because I think he's been absolutely incredible. I think everybody thinks he's been incredible. What a goalkeeper he's been this season and for the last couple of seasons for Arsenal. But you're thinking he's had Thursday and Friday to think long and hard and listen to that noise about what happened on Wednesday night. And what is he going to do in this game? Is he just going to be a little bit more tentative? Is he going to be a little bit more wobbly, a little bit more shaky? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You look at his body language, the way in which he had authority, the way in which he came out and dominated his area and caught every single cross that came in, even ones that you thought he didn't really have to come for that one. We wouldn't have been having a go at him if he didn't do, but he came for ones that were brave. So I think, was really important for him today. You know, to make sure he gets back to his sort of what would be mistake-free best. And in the end, he makes something really special there, doesn't he, where he sort of reaches back. I mean, we sometimes slow these sort of what would be replays down, which is the right thing to do so everyone can see it at home, but it doesn't do it justice of the reactions of how, we know how quick goalkeepers are off the mark. They're like lightning, they really are. I think I might have said this story before, but the goalkeepers were always the quickest over 5 yards when we did the sprint test, because just the ability to get there quickly and just off the mark, and you could see that was brilliant with Raya. At that end of the pitch, and then at the other end of the pitch, I think it was so important what Gyökeres did today. I like him as a centre-forward in the sense that I like a centre-forward who's imperfect, who's a bit rugged, who's a bit of a handful. I'd hate to play against him. Sticks his body in, sticks his backside in. Doesn't necessarily do everything in the sort of more smooth or perfect way. And there's times this season where you've thought, is he a hit or is he a miss? Is he good or is he average? You know, you're almost from week to week balancing a little bit about what this guy is. But if you could actually encapsulate and package up a performance of what you'd want from him, you got it out there today again in a really big game. I thought that from the very first few minutes, he was running down the side. Sometimes he gets involved a little bit too much in battles and scraps and muscling with centre halves, but he made movements down the side. He was a little bit more elusive. I thought that he held it up and was quite clever at times. He was a nuisance. He did run the channels. He always works hard. I actually thought he looked leaner and fitter, and I don't know how that happens, because obviously we've seen him a lot in the last few weeks, but I just thought he just looked a little bit more like he had legs and like he had a bit more power, rather than him looking a little bit sort of what would be heavy and ungainly and sort of it looking like he's running in treacle. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you watch him, you think. And then today I thought he was really good, and then he gets his goals. The first one's a really good goal. Eze, I think, being up there alongside him, taking Dragerson away and taking a centre forward, just means that he gets a yard and he finishes. He misses his couple of chances in the first half, but he finishes in that second half, and then he gets his what would be almost like a glory moment at the end, where he can sort of go up there and celebrate to your heart's content. The second one, I said, don't celebrate too much. There's a job to do. Switch on. Declan Rice did that after the first goal, didn't he? If you remember, he's going to his teammates, switch on. That's definitely a switch on moment at 2-1. We're not making a mistake here. This is where we go and see it home. And Arsenal have really done that today. But it was a good day for David Raya, who's been brilliant all season. Gyökeres, who's not been brilliant all season, I thought it was his best moment of the season. Not just because he scored 2 in a game against his the biggest rivals and had a wonderful celebration over there with the Arsenal fans. But because his general performance from start to finish is what you would expect from him, he needs to kick on from that because he set himself a level there today.
I wonder, this is a slightly mischievous question, I wonder whether it was nice for Arsenal to play here. You know, that there was a lot of talk about Tottenham feeding on Arsenal's nerves, but obviously Arsenal's kind of tense performances, one or two of them have been in front of their own supporters who are feeling the history of these 22 years without the title and so on. And you didn't get the same sense of panic here at all, did you? Even when Tottenham did equalise?
No, I don't think you heard it, but the stadium announcer before the game, he did a massive impassioned speech and address to the crowd probably about 5 minutes before kickoff, where he said they're worried, they're nervous, you know what I mean, they don't want this type thing. And that was the sort of feeling in this ground. I mean, Tottenham fans, the ones I spoke to before the game, I always, when I'm coming up in the lift, say, what do you think today? Just to get and they said, I think we'll get beat, you know what I mean? So I think the reality was there that they thought they could get beat. But the bit of hope that I think they had was probably Wolves. And they were probably thinking, if we can make them nervous, if they show a little bit of anxiety through the fact they're in a title race, and there's been a lot of talk about wobbling in the last few days, then they could potentially do something in this match. But it didn't emerge. And I think playing here, look, they got a grip of the game early, to be fair to them. By the way, what about the nonsense with the sound issues with the referees? That needs to stop, by the way. I don't know if someone listens from, PGMOL or Premier League, but that is absolutely rubbish, that we've got to stop a game. For how long today? 11 minutes, 12 minutes maybe? 5-6 in the first half, and then before half-time, before the second half started, another 5-6. But, today, big question marks of Arsenal at the start of the game. They handled it. They played well. They dominated the first 20 minutes. They then go and get the goal. Really good. And then they have the one sort of mistake in the game. The one blip is when obviously they let Tottenham back in it within 30 seconds. So you're thinking, oh, okay. So there's another big question coming at half-time when they come out for the second half. But they've answered it. The big question at 2-1 then is, can they go and kill the game off? Are they going to let Tottenham back into it? And they've answered that. So there's a number of questions throughout this match that Arsenal have answered. Can they score goals? Can they go? They've done everything right today. So playing here was perfect for them. We've seen Tottenham 2 or 3 times here in the last couple of months, and they came back against Manchester City, but they were hopeless in the first half, weren't they? And they have got so many injuries, but I think when teams have so many injuries, you can look at it one of two ways. If they're freak injuries that just happen all at once, then you can maybe have some sympathy. But when you've got persistent and constant injuries in large numbers over 2 seasons, you've got to start to ask a bigger question. It's not unlucky anymore. You can't, the recruitment has got to be questioned. Are they resilient? Are they robust enough? The training program's got to be questioned. What are they doing out on the training pitch? The grass, the pitches have got to be questioned. Now, you can't believe that that's the case because these Desso pitches are everywhere. But, the medical department are going to start to get put under pressure. The sports science, we all talk about sports science and having massages and sports science. But these players are getting injured on a constant basis. So what is it? It's one of those 3-4 things that we're mentioning, but Tottenham not having their best players out on the pitch not only damaged Ange Postecoglou last season, it's damaged Thomas Frank this season. If they had Maddison out there, Kulusevski out there, all the other players that they've got missing, Romero's obviously missing through a different reason today. There's that many of them missing. Bentancur's missing. There's 12 of them, isn't there? Or 11 of them.
Yeah, Danso, Maddison, Udogie, Bergvall, Romero, as you
Porro.
said. Yeah, Kulusevski, Porro, Odegaard, Bentancur, Ben Davis.
Yeah.
And actually, as I mentioned in the commentary, the second goalkeeper's missing as well today.
So, look, if Tottenham have those players available, then they're not going to be that easy to beat. They're going to be a far better team in every sense. But they're in trouble. Tottenham are in trouble. Last season, they skirted with it a little bit, relegation. There was a little bit of but they were always sort of clear of it, and they were managing the sort of Europa League games and just getting enough points, and you never really felt they were going to go down. This season, they've got some real work to do, and they better do it quickly, by the way, because I watch West Ham and I watch Nottingham Forest, and they've got something about them that you think they're going to pick up points. So it's not going to be a case that Tottenham can just sit there and think that this is just going to happen. They're going to have to work bloody hard to get out of this mess. And it's unthinkable. You're in this stadium. I've been to their training ground when I was a coach for England. We used to train there a lot, and you just can't think this amazing, great football club. But on the football side of it, they've under-delivered for a number of years. They've never found the right sort of what would be formula to get it right. And this is the second season on the trot that they're in this type of position. So it's not a fluke anymore. This is a pattern of what you are. And it would be the shock of the century, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be absolutely mind-blowing to think that they could disappear out of this league. But I don't think they will. No. I don't think they will. They've shown an attitude in this game today for 55, 60 minutes. And even to be fair, in the last half an hour, they were just beaten in the end by a better team. But they have shown a little bit of ruggedness in this game that you need and they will need. We've just got to make sure that if they're playing a team here that doesn't get the crowd up as much and doesn't get these players up as much, that they show that same ruggedness. Because it's easy to show it sometimes in the North London derby where you have to. You're almost forced to in a manager's first game. But when the cameras are off you and they're playing against a team in mid-table next week and the week after, and maybe it's a little bit less motivation, maybe it's a little bit less fire because of the fact of what this fixture is, are they going to be as rugged, as dogged, and as hard-working and as pressurising? Because they're going to need to be, because if you're just 2, 3, 4% off it in this league, you will get done.
Yeah, well, that is going to be something clearly to watch. They were relegated, by the way, in 1977, Tottenham, a team that had Pat Jennings in goal, Glenn Hoddle in midfield, Steve Perryman, some Tottenham greats went down. But anyway, that's a different era. Back to the Premier League title race. A lot of the talk was on whether Arsenal might collapse to some extent, psychologically, after what happened at Wolves. That didn't happen. So I suppose the onus is back now on Manchester City. What did you make of them last night?
I mean, I was coming back from watching Salford at Cheltenham, so I got, I think, in 15 minutes late, but watched the game. I mean, City are dangerous. They're dangerous with the fact they've got Marmoush, they've got Haaland, they've got Cherki, they've got Semenyo, they've got Foden. So they're really dangerous. If they can keep the centre-backs fit, then they've got a chance. The goalkeeper's good. The manager is exceptional. The celebrations at the end from Haaland and from Pep Guardiola were meaningful, I felt. They were sending a message. That was mind games at play. Pep Guardiola will say it's not, but it is. Every time you speak now for the next 2 months, every time you do something on a pitch, it's going to be transmitting to the opposition team. That's vulnerabilities, that's strength, whatever it is, celebrations, sometimes over celebrations. So what Arsenal had to cope with today, which I've mentioned before, and the questions that they've had to answer, I missed one of them out, and that was the fact that Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland, probably the two most significant figures in the Premier League on and off the pitch, have sent a message last night after that game that we're coming for you and we're going to be breathing down your neck. Arsenal have withstood that today, and they're going to have to withstand that for another 6 to 8 weeks. Arsenal were never going to get this Premier League title handed to them on a plate. It doesn't work like that, particularly when you're going for your first one. If you win in 3, 4 and 5 and 6, you can sometimes win by 10, 15 points and you can take it in your stride. That's very, very rare. It's a struggle. It's a battle. It's a fight. And this City team, to be fair, that you're watching now, aren't quite the team that were going through those fights with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool for 3 or 4 years. But there's still some characters in that dressing room who understand it and know it, and particularly the manager. So they're going to be so dangerous. I think Arsenal will get there, but it doesn't surprise me that they are making mistakes and that City are coming back at them. But I think they will just get there. I think they'll get there and just almost crawl over the line maybe in the end. It's going to be a massive struggle, I feel. I don't think it's going to be easy. And that game is going to be monumental at the Etihad.
How much, as a matter of interest, because obviously we're all looking at that, how much does the League Cup final play into the psychology of it all? Or is that, can you box that off?
I think you can box that off. I mean, look, it depends how you lose. It depends how the game goes and how you lose. Look, if it's a tight game and you lose on penalties, I think you can box it off. But if you get absolutely battered in that game, I mean, if City were to go and beat Arsenal 3 or 4-0 in that game, that would send a big message, and vice versa if Arsenal were to go and beat City. But I have thought for a number of years, when Arsenal have been going for this title, that they're going to have to go and win at the Etihad. I've just thought it for a number of years. Go and win. That's the only real way. I mean, look, the Carabao Cup final is a chance to send a message because you're playing directly against them and you can cause them some real pain by taking a medal from round the necks. But what you can do is go and beat them at their own place. I always think when Arsenal came and won titles, the Overmars goal in '98, the Viltord goal, was it? 2002, 2001, 01.
Two maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they're killer. They're goals that still make me shiver. They're goals that make me shiver. I was playing in the game against Overmars, and then the Wiltord one, I was actually in the stand, I was injured. But they make you shiver because they silence a city. They don't just silence a ground. You know, you go into Manchester City on that day and you're absolutely going to silence them and rock them to the core if you win. But on the other hand, if City go and beat you up like they did 2 or 3 years ago, when Arsenal had those problems defensively, I think towards the end when Saliba was injured, again, it rocks you the other way. So that's in the far distance. It's not to start thinking about that tonight, but we know it's coming. The Arsenal fans know it's coming. The City fans know it's coming. And it's about jostling for position and making sure, maybe if you're Mikel Arteta, who's doing his interview here now on this screen, if he can just have a cushion going into that game, it gives him a bit of comfort. But my feeling is, I don't do predictions. In fact, I'm pretty poor at them. My feeling is that this is the moment this year where Arsenal might be a couple of points in front. They might be near to level. Might be 3 points in front. I think they'll go and win at City. I think they'll go and win. And I think that'll be where you really do recognise that they are champions. But that's a wild prediction about a game that's coming in 5 or 6 weeks, and by then a lot will have happened. But that's how I see this season going. I've seen it going like I've thought it would go like that for quite a while. I thought City might come back at them, may even go past them momentarily. You mentioned during this game they could have gone past them next Saturday night if they beat Leeds away. But City will drop points. They're not quite right themselves. You asked me about the game last night against Newcastle. They weren't hanging on in there at the end, but it was a little bit close for comfort for them, and they're not quite as dominant as they were. I mean, they're not as dominant as they were. Forget the quite. They're not as dominant as they were. They're not as controlling as they were. They're not as exceptional as they were. But they're still very, very dangerous. And I think that Semenyo, Marmoush and Haaland up front, they could cause real problems for every team.
What's the reality in the dressing room? As you say, you've played in those sorts of games. Are they going to gradually, as no doubt we will, become obsessed with that game on April the 18th, 19th? Is there a danger that one game could become too important in the heads of players?
I think what Pep Guardiola will have liked about, I mean, forget the fact that they dropped points at Wolves, he'll have loved that. But what he'll have liked about this weekend and next weekend is that they get the ability to go and put pressure and get close. That's the real sort of, I used to think if you can get your points on the board and then sit back and watch, which is what Arsenal have had, what City have had the luxury of doing today. But Arsenal have sent the perfect message tonight. City at home tonight, they've won. Okay, let's go again. So what City will be looking towards next week is a really difficult game away at Leeds on the Saturday, that they go and do it again. And then Arsenal play Chelsea on the Sunday. Now Arsenal have got to go and do it again if obviously City do that. But playing first, I think, is a big advantage if you can go and get the points on the board. And that's what I think Pep Guardiola will be looking at right now. There's too much to go on. There's Champions League games. There's Carabao Cup finals before that game into the distance. We're talking about it purely because we know it's coming and it's looming and it won't go away. But the managers and the players in the dressing room won't be focusing on that at all. You know, both sets of players will recognise that they've got this league in their own hands, which is a good place to be. They both have. You know, if they win all the games, you win the league. That's it. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson would have said to us back in the day. By the way, it's in your hands. If you win every game, you win the league. And so they'll feel good about that in the City dressing room, but Arsenal will feel good about that as well, that they're in a good position. So long way to go. A lot of injuries to happen, a lot of losses to happen. You've got Champions League potentially, joy or defeats to deal with. You've got that Carabao Cup game, which will again bring joy or unhappiness to a certain dressing room. So there's a lot to play for. I love this point in the season. I love it when there's a title race. There's nothing worse when you sort of see a season peter out. Last season it seemed to peter out. All ends up, didn't it? The relegation was sorted, the title was sorted, the Champions League places felt like they were mainly sorted sort of well before the end of the season. I don't think we're going to get that this year. I think we're going to get a bit of a blockbuster, and it's going to, I think, be exciting. The Champions League, I'll cover that tomorrow night after the Everton United game, and what Liverpool have done in the last minute today. Burnley getting a point at Chelsea. These things, Villa just wobbling a little bit, aren't they, at the moment, but they've got injuries. So much to play for. So much, I think, at stake. But I think it's going to go to the death this year. I don't think it's going to be a case of it being sorted with 3-4 weeks to go, and that'll be exciting.
You give me butterflies, Gary.
Thanks, Peter.
Well done, thank you.
How about that for a response? But that's football. I mean, when you watch the game back against Wolves, how the hell you drop 2 points there, nobody can explain it. I mean, but this is the beauty of it. And then looks like it's the end of the world. And you look at your players and the way they react and how much you want it. And I said it, I feel very, very privileged to work with them every single day. I knew we were going to react. In football, you can win, draw, or lose. But the attitude that we showed today, the desire, the dominance, it was really impressive. So I'm really happy.
How soon after the Wolves game did you know, yeah, the team are right, they will perform on Sunday?
Immediately after that, because I saw the reaction and what it means. And when it's a job, you don't react like this. When it's your passion and you love the game so much, that's something else. It hurts you in a different way. And I know what it means to them and how much they want it. And we said that I want to try all our very best.
You said after we were talking about the Wolves game, like how the hell did it finish level? Did you have a similar feeling at half-time today?
Yes.
How the hell is it 1-1?
I know, I don't understand. I don't know how many touches we had in the opponent's box and chances and situations, but we said at half-time, we carry on playing. When you talk about attitude, what Declan is on today, I mean, he can make an error. The way he played afterwards, that's attitude. That's to have personality and courage and to stand up in a difficult moment.
So what would you say, I don't know whether it's a day for sort of the tactical stuff or more the mental, emotional stuff, but what would you say was the key to that win?
The attitude. Again, how you approach things. I mean, and that's a decision that you have to make. You can feel sorry for yourself. You can look at, oh, but this is the stage. I mean, when we're all kids, we dream to play these kind of games. So when we have the possibility to do that, just do it in a manner that recognize the opportunity that we have to be where we are.
What was it like? I mean, we spoke before the game about them having a different manager. They tried to press you high. They tried to be intense. Did we actually see the dangers of trying to take you on so many times this season? You've faced the low block. You didn't today, and because of it, potentially, you created an awful lot more.
I don't know, but so that's why you have to respond in relation to the opponent's behavior, especially when you are attacking. And I think we understood really well how we have to play. And then players were individually really, really good. That's what you need. I mean, the level of efficiency at the end is dictated by how well they make decisions and how accurate they are with those decisions. And we have some outstanding performances today.
One of those, Victor Gyökeres, best performance for the club?
I think so. I think his overall play was incredible. The efficiency, the goals that he scored. It was really, really good today.
And before the match, you spoke about Eze, that there were certain things about this game that made you think he was the right fit for today. Can you elaborate on that now?
Well, one of them because the recent past against them, it was really positive, and that's there. And then I made some decisions and I changed them at half-time, and there are some moments, and you see how people react, and when they have a point to prove, I know that we are understanding what Ebbs needs to perform at the level that he can.
So 10 to go now, Mikel. Ready to strap yourself back into the roller coaster for what's ahead?
One at a time. It's going to be a long, long one, because on top of that we have all the cup games and Champions League, so it's going to be a long marathon for all of us, but let's enjoy it.
But do you feel like you answered a lot of questions today? Because as first question, a lot of noise, a lot of bullets. There was.
The questions are on the day. Today, yes, we've done it, and now we have to do it against Chelsea. And 3 days ago, yeah, we have to take them. I mean, when you have the expectations and you play for what you play in a football club that we play for, this is part of the job. And if you don't like it, go and do something else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. We can start with you. It turns out you really enjoy the North London derby. I remember you had a feeling before the first game. Did you again today?
To be fair, I always have that feeling whenever I play. But yeah, today it's worked out. We thank God for it. We put in a good performance. We done what we needed to do today, which was the main thing.
Victor, huge contribution from you as well. Maybe your best performance in the red shirt?
Yeah, in some aspects I think it was a good one. Then in some other I think I could have done a few bits better. But yeah, it was a tough game. But I think we showed much better things on the pitch today.
Was part of that, Abere, was it a huge response from the team?
Yeah, for sure. That's the main thing. We know what we're capable of. We know what we can do. We have to play games to dominate and to win, and we've got the players in the team to do it. So again, an important win for us, important performance, and we keep going.
Just talk us through your celebrations. You really enjoyed your goals, as you should, but Got a few friends who are Spurs fans, maybe, or they're giving you a bit of grief, I think is more likely.
Yeah, quite a lot. But that's football. That's part of the game, and it's understandable, I think. But I'll keep doing what I'm doing and keep pushing.
Just tell us about the finishes. Both of them, I suppose, in some ways, pretty simple, but you need to just keep cool, right?
Probably not simple.
Sorry for the insult.
Yeah, but I'm always trying to get in those types of positions to be ready and to find the space and to work hard to get those opportunities. So it takes a lot to get there. And yeah, it's worked out today.
And how big a part did this guy play in the second goal? It was a lovely little 1-2, and then you released Bukayo, of course, and then it broke back to you.
Yeah, Vic was doing that all game. I think you can see the work ethic, you can see how much he helps the team, not just with his goals, but with the effort that he puts in and puts players like me in good positions, and it helps a lot. And he's got his 2 goals today, which he deserves for sure.
Yeah, Victor, particularly wanted to ask you about the first goal, an absolute thunderbolt. Did it come at a really key moment for the team as well? Because it's 1-1 at that point, and you must have talked about it at half-time. It shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I think we do that a few times in training, I think, and then obviously I watch his goals against these last game. So yeah, try to replicate it a little bit, and yeah, it works. So it's a nice goal.
Why always Tottenham? For you? Yes, for 5 years, 6 Premier League goals.
I don't know. I try to score every single game. It seems to work a lot against Tottenham, but yeah, I think it's just a feeling that you get, and you want to enjoy it as much as you can.
Okay, well, brilliant from both of you. 2 goals each. The player of the match is Victor.
Deserved. There you are, my brother.
Thank you, bro.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Sorry about the simple goals, Dave. Well done.
To see him sign a new deal, what does he mean to this club and its supporters, do you feel?
Well, I think it means everything that we want from all of our own. I think the journey throughout the club in different phases, achieving the first team, settling in as one of the most important players, and on the journey to big success.
When you talk about that journey, do you feel he symbolises the improvements that Arsenal have made in recent years?
I think he's one of the very good examples, and somebody that really represents the values and the ambition of this club.
What can it do for the rest of the squad when they see someone of that stature sign a new contract?
I think that's. I think the previous ones as well are a coincidence and a consequence of Bukayo's signing, because a lot of players have committed to the club for the long term. That means that that they feel really happy, valued here, and they see this place like the right place in the chapter in their career, and very happy to do that.
And for the coaching staff as well, is that maybe validation of your work as well when you have players like this who want to commit?
Well, it's certainly a proud moment for us, because obviously I've been with him since day one, and we've been through a lot together, and I think we have enjoyed each other's company so far. So that's something for such a long time not easy to achieve, and credit to him in the way that has behaved and performed.
He's come back in for the last couple of league games, which have been quite challenging as well. You spoke after Wolves about the players perhaps having to own what happened, own the mistakes, and take it. What does that involve? Does that involve chats when you're with the players since then? Does it involve meetings? Does it involve just getting on with it?
Yeah, every post-match needs different things. Sometimes the message is more tactical, sometimes more emotional, sometimes about other stuff that that can be done better or improved. And this one, it was very clear, is what do we want next? I mean, that one is gone. It was very unexpected the way the game ended, and very unusual the way we conceded, especially the second goal. But there are things that we should have done better. But that's it. That chapter now is gone, and now we have to write the next one. And it's actually what we're going to do, to see in the next one the things that we want to see, and that's on us.
When you say it's unusual the way the game ended, there was a certain decision-making process that your players went through, not just the goal itself, but there was the way they managed time at the end of the game. There was Gabi Jesus' reaction at full time, and there was even your own coach. I noticed you pulled away him from a technical area with the opposition. How do you reflect on that? Do you feel things got slightly out of hand, or do you feel that it was just
that's
one
part
of
of football. When you're analysing the teams that are doing with those margins, there are certain behaviours, and it will be different to one to another, that just explain how much a team, an individual wants to win.
Are they learning behaviours for the team when they reflect? Do you reflect on that?
Yes, you learn from mistakes, you learn from defeats, from draws, and for wins as well. So you have to remember as well why we are doing so well as well, to maintain the position that we won, that we still have in every competition, and that has to be the driving force of the team.
You also spoke about enjoying, the successes you have, and enjoyment also comes from getting through tough moments. Do the players see it that way? What is their view?
Yeah, enjoying this, enjoying the noise, enjoying the bullets, enjoying the expectations, because this is what you want to be, and this is part of it. You can't just select, I want to be here, but this part I don't like it, this one, keep it. Now the next month we change it. No, it comes with that, it comes with responsibility. It comes with joy, and it comes with very little margins that every week things can change. You can score or concede in the 95th, somebody else scores in the 95th, suddenly it's a different league. Yeah, it's part of it.
And I guess in that sense, it's really good that there's a quick turnaround and a game quite quickly afterwards. What do you want to see from this Spurs performance?
What I've seen from today is a reaction that is so positive, that is, okay, now I take responsibility, we move forward, and we move forward as a better team.
In that sense, do the players feel they have something to prove?
I think we all have. It's everybody's responsibility, mine first, and that's it. But at the end, the players have to play on that pitch, and we have to give them all the tools and understanding of what they might face to be as efficient as possible.
In terms of what they might face, are Spurs a bit more of an unknown prospect now they have a new head coach there?
Yeah, I mean, we faced this kind of a scenario 7 times already this season. So, we looked at his history, what he's done in the previous clubs, especially what are the intentions, the messaging that he will be sending, to understand what kind of game they will propose, and I will be ready for it.
And is it the atmosphere that the players relish as well when you have a North London derby like this?
Yes, I mean, it's one of the most beautiful games to play every season, you know that, and so important for our supporters. We know what it means, the importance of the stage of the season that we are in right now, so looking forward to it.
You're in an incredible position in terms of what you're challenging for across lots of different fronts. How do you feel the players and yourself as coaches are going to manage the players' minutes and manage their workload over the coming weeks? Because you're playing in every possible game you could.
Well, that would depend in every position, because as well there are players that we have various options, in other ones that at the moment that we are more limited because of injuries. So first of all, have the whole squad available. That will be one of the main targets for now to the end of the season. And then with the quality and the options that we're going to have, I'm sure we're going to manage them in the right way.
It's football. You'll never have the whole squad available. There'll always be some challenge, surely.
And we will try. A lot of winning teams, they have had their whole squad available at the end, and that when you go to big competition, that's a big pattern.
And you assess more than just fitness, I imagine. Do you assess mentality? Do you assess the sort of where?
For sure, yes. And the moment, every player lives in a different moment, a moment of really high confidence, when they've been really productive, a player that might come from a difficult game or training sessions. So we need to be on top of that. There are human beings, they have their own personal life as well. So we try to acknowledge that as well.
I think that's a really interesting point. Can you expand on that slightly? Are there times when players may have to be taken out of the fire or approached differently, and you have to sort of engage with them more than you would the rest of them?
I mean, it's not always what you expect. Okay, we're going to repeat this team because we know, and things happen, and they have their own life, and sometimes, obviously, we cannot share this kind of things, but things happen that restrict their ability to perform, or it affects their mood, or all the kind of stuff, and we need to be on top of that.
In a way, it would be good for everyone to appreciate that more, wouldn't it? Because it can be quite tough when you get lots of, not criticism all the time, but lots of focus on you and performance. Say, why isn't he doing this consistently and consistently?
Yeah, because again, they are human beings, they are not robots, and that's the beauty of it, you know, and because they can mold, they can learn, they can improve, and they need support, and that's what we're here for.
And in terms of perspective going forward, it's been a couple of bad results in the league, but prior to that there were a couple of great results in the league as well. How far away do you feel you are from being able to just slip back into that?
Yeah, I mean, if we win every game, it's clear what's going to happen, and nobody's doing it at the moment, and that's the reason, because the difficulty of the league and all the competitions that we are involved, but we've been very, very, very consistent. We want to be better for sure, and we want to improve, and Sunday is another opportunity to do that.
Does that make the expectation really high because you've been so good up to this point, do you feel?
Well, I think that's what we wanted to create, a consistent level, a performance level that when you come to March, April, May, you are in every competition to to go over the line.
Huge game. Listen, new manager coming in. You would like to think you get the new manager vibe. You know, that the players go out, they try, they bust the gut, and you get that result. Unfortunately, they've got Arsenal. So it's a huge game. 1 for the derby, and obviously 2 for new manager and desperately needing points.
Just on Arsenal as well, because it's the North London derby. As it stands at the moment, City just 2 points behind Arsenal because they are currently leading against Newcastle. That's a current score at the moment. But does that add a little bit more pressure onto Arsenal as well?
Absolutely it does, because this is like the bogeyman chasing you, because they know how to hunt teams down. They're brilliant at it. They've done it so often. Pep's teams are fantastic, relentless. I didn't see it this season, if I'm honest, the way that they'd come back. I felt that Arsenal would be clear, 6-7 points ahead by now, but they've given other teams a chance. They've thrown points away. You can't go to Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0 up, it's bottom of the table, and draw 2-2. That's not title winning form or credentials. But can they still win the league? Absolutely, yes, they can. And tomorrow might be one of those occasions where it can change everything. You go win there, big derby, start to relax, start to play. I think Tottenham Hotspur got 12 fit players he said he's worked with this week. So he plays a back three normally, Igor Tudor. How does he play tomorrow? Can he find a back three? Obviously Romero suspended. Van de Ven will obviously be the one that will try and build the team around. Maybe you can drop Paulina back in there as well. Dragosan as a back three. But he said something very interesting. He's been there, 7 days, I think. And he was talking about, someone asked him what's his philosophy. He said, my philosophy, I'm coming in. This is an emergency. I've just got to find wins. He said, so for me to have a philosophy, I'll need 3-4 months. When we talk about managers coming in, normally they need a long time, or we start saying, oh, look how he's changed this, look how he's changed that. They haven't got time. They're playing Champions League football, Cup football, League football, week in, week out. He's just got to somehow extract, as Bobby says, some confidence out of this team. Find a way to create a connection with the fans, because the fans, there's a disconnect between the fans and the team. They don't like each other right now, but that can change if you get a couple of wins. If it doesn't, and you find yourself in a relegation fight, the one place it's going to be hardest is Tottenham, because they don't want to be. They don't accept that they should be down in this position. So it's probably harder for them right now than anyone else, because all the other teams, maybe barring West Ham, because I think they'll have that sort of feeling that we shouldn't be in this position. We're too big a club. But all the other sides are fighting for their lives. And Tottenham somehow got to let it all go now and try to... Igor Tudor was a surprise for me. When he said he was coming, I thought, this is a really left field one, an odd one. They could have gone a lot of different routes. They've gone with this guy. Very defensive coach. But if it works out, great. But I honestly think it should be an easy job for him to keep them up. Even though they've not got a great side, it's not a good Tottenham side, I still think they've got enough armoury to keep us to stay in the Premier League. I still don't think they're a team that's going to go down.
Do you agree? Do you reckon it's an easy job?
It's not an easy job.
Not an easy job. I don't think it's an easy job. But I think to keep them up, I think, 2 managers have found it hard, but I think they've got more than enough to stay up.
They've got plenty of quality in that changing room. It's just managing to get it all together, that it all clicks and all works. And hopefully, listen, the new manager can go in there and do exactly that.
If he loses a couple, trust me, there will be a lot of unrest, because, as I say, when you talk about who you bought in, it wasn't one that I can't imagine any Tottenham fans like, great, we've got Igor Tudor. He's got credit, he's managed at the top level, he's managed at Juventus, he's been sacked an awful lot, he's had a lot of clubs. So it's not like you're going, well, this is an elite manager that we've got in here.
Do you think Premier League experience is what you would have gone for? Someone that's definitely done it in the Premier League or had some...
We would have thought so, but that doesn't make any sense with what we're talking about Tottenham here, Bob. We were just talking earlier on, you were at Tottenham 8 months, you had 2 managers. So how they work and how they get their managers in hasn't always made common sense. I honestly thought Thomas Frank would have done okay. He didn't. But maybe that then boils down to the recruitment over the last years hasn't been good enough, because the managers, you need good players to work with. But has he got a great opportunity to cement his name as somebody that... Because if he has a good run, there's no reason why he can't throw himself in the mix to be the next manager for next season. Because at the moment, this is just an audition. But if he does well and he keeps them up and they beat Arsenal tomorrow, all of a sudden he can be a hero there. So that's how quickly things can change, especially if they beat Arsenal and Arsenal don't win the title.
All good?
Good to see you. Good to see
You
you.
as well, mate. Always good.
Good to hear.
Ready for Sunday?
Ready.
Ready. Here we go. Mickey, thank you for taking the time out to chat to us. It's been an eventful week. Thomas leaving. What was your reaction and the squad's reaction?
It's always tough when a manager goes away. You've worked with him intensively last, was it 6 months, I think, roughly. So yeah, it's always tough when someone leaves, and it's never, you're never happy to hear when someone needs to leave where you've been working with every day.
How was your relationship with Thomas?
It was good. I communicated a lot with Thomas on and off the pitch in both ways. So yeah, I had a good connection with him, and I spoke a lot with him about things on the pitch.
I come across Thomas quite a lot, even when I played and then followed his career. He looked like, as a manager, having personality, a togetherness. Is that how would you reflect on your time with him?
Yeah, for sure. What you say, his personality is top, like how kind he is to every person here in the building and every person in the dressing room, and how he communicates with everyone in the group. Yeah, exactly what you say, his personality is top.
So sad day. We look to the position you're in, where you are now, where you were last year. Is this a bigger challenge than what you had last year?
To be honest, like last season I didn't play when we were in this tough position, so I didn't. Obviously I knew where you're in, but it's different when you're standing on the pitch. Like you suffer more, I will maybe say. On the other side, you suffer as well when you're injured because you can't help the team. But still, yeah, the situation we're in now is really tough, and we just need to make sure that we're going to get some points and just make sure we're going to look up the table a little bit more.
On the flip side, I look at some of the performances in the Champions League. Why has there been so much of a contrast? Is it the opposition you're playing against in the Champions League? Is the Premier League more competitive? What's it down to?
Yeah, that's so difficult to say, to be honest. What you say, like in the Champions League, we've playing really good football. We played unbelievable. We into the top 8 in Champions League, and I think that's really difficult to achieve. And then every time when we play Premier League, we suffer more. And to be honest, if I knew the answer on this question, I would say to the guys in the dressing room and say, boys, we need to change this if we want to be more competitive in the Premier League. But I don't know.
I look at your performances. I've said you've touched on them being really, really good. Do you feel there's less pressure in the Champions League?
No.
So why are the performances so different? The contrast, I watch you against Copenhagen, I see you against Frankfurt, I see you against Dortmund. It looks like you've got freedom to play.
Yeah, of course also every opponent you play against have different style of playing.
Yeah.
So in the Premier League the intensity is really tough, but yeah, if you look at the Champions League teams, they're all top teams. That's why they play in the Champions League. So if you need to point a finger like exactly this is the thing that changes us playing so good in the Champions League and sometimes a little bit disappointed in the Premier League, it's I don't know.
Yeah. The fans have been frustrated and probably rightly so with some of the performances, the results. Finishing 17th last year and then winning Europa League. Fans have been disappointed, should I say, with some of the results and performances.
And yeah, that's fair. If you are a club as Tottenham Hotspur and you have this quality of players and you are, what I say, as big as Tottenham Hotspur, it's unacceptable that you're standing at this place in the table, and the results needs to be way, way better. And I think it's normal for Tottenham Hotspur to win games than lose games at the moment. So yeah, it's fair that they are disappointed, but they need to know as well that we keep working every day in, day out to do everything about changing this round, because even for us, the vibes in the dressing room, the vibes after games if we lose, the meetings, it's tough. It's really tough. So we do everything to turn things around.
You've talked about it being tough, and no wonder with the amount of injured players you've got, to big players, big personalities. People like yourself have to step up to the challenge ahead, eh?
Yeah. Of course, we still have some quality players left. We have a really talentful squad and some top players, but we also miss some key players for us. And so yeah, it's really important for the players who are fit right now to step up and to make the best results out of it right now.
Let's look forward. Igor Tudor was appointed. You've had a few days with him. What's your first impressions of him?
It's good. He's on us. He's really on us. He's straight into it, straightforward. And tells us straight away what he wants us to do and what he expects from us. And of course it needs some time, but you can see in the way how he behaves, he wants to go into it straight away and just wants to do it as quick as possible.
What's his messages been to you all?
He came in obviously with a job also, because we're in a tough time right now, and he said to us as well, I want to do everything to help you guys coming out of this tough moment. And we're playing in a beautiful competition with the Champions League where we're still in the top 8 and straight into the round of 16, and I want to come there as far as possible, but I want to do everything about it to help you guys. What's
key to turning this form round?
Getting points. That's the most important, I think, right now. Just even if you don't play the best game, it's just most important that you, at the end of the whistle from the referee, that you're standing there with the 3 points. And I think that's, at this point, the most important.
Is that, I touched on yourselves, who else in that dressing room can take the responsibility, the leadership, you know, when backs are against the wall and people on the outside of this training ground are as question your desire, your commitment. Who else is in there that can galvanise this group and take the club forward?
Yeah, you have some young players obviously in the group sometimes, and you can't really ask them to be the guys that need to push us forward. So then normally I have Guti, you have next to me, who's now he was now unfortunately suspended.
Yeah.
But you have Vic behind me who has a lot of experience, João Paulinho on the midfield who has a lot of experience. Solanke as a striker who has a lot of experience. So you have some experience in the group, and then you just need to make sure that all the young guys who maybe don't really have this ability to step up, I won't say step up, but just to speak out, who are more into themselves, to just get everyone together. And I think that's now the most important, especially with the injuries we have. We just have a certain amount of players who needs to do it on the pitch right now, and we just need to make sure that everybody faces into the same direction and just go into it.
You talk about being together. No bigger game coming up on Sunday. North London derby, the magnitude of the game. What's the message being sent out to the group by the manager?
Massive game, yeah, we know it's a massive game. Arsenal's doing really well, top of the league, and we're struggling this season. But everybody knows in these type of games everything can happen, and we know how big it is for the fans, and also in here for us, we know how big this game is. So we're going to go into it with a good mindset and ready to make it really difficult for Arsenal.
Does form go out the window?
Yeah, I think every game, to be honest, we going in, we don't think about the form in the past. Every game we just want to change in the round, and then from there on we want to go into the good direction. So yeah, form is another thing we think about at the weekend.
I've played in this North London derby, and the fans, when they turn up on Sunday, they will get behind you. They'll be united. What's your message to them?
Just stay behind us the whole game. I think that's the most important, even sometimes maybe when we suffer. But also at the moments when we're doing well, that just keep pushing us throughout the game. And it's going to be difficult, of course. It's going to be a tough game because that's what we know against Arsenal. But we're going to do everything about it to win this game, and I'm going to give my whole life on the pitch, and I think all the other players who are on the pitch are going to do the same as well for the full 90 minutes. So yeah, just keep standing behind us, and hopefully we can do something.
You've got
nice.
12 Premier League games to go, 12 massive Premier League games. What is your goal and targets come the end of the season?
As a group, you mean?
Group, individually?
Individually, just stay fit. Just play every game this season and just come out of the season with as many games as I've played already. And in a better position in the league. That's the most important, I think, right now. And obviously, we have 12 more games where we need to watch step by step, but the most important is that we climb up the ladder.
Mickey, I wish you well. Good luck Sunday. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Which you can see from 4:30 live on Sky Sports Premier League. Tim, let's talk about the man we just heard from. Will mark his 100th Premier League appearance for the Gunners tomorrow in that game. We've talked about Bukayo Saka over the course of the last few seasons as being Arsenal's most important player. In terms of players who can somehow drag them across the line, end this long wait for a title, is the man we just heard from right now the most important player in doing that?
Yeah, 100%. I want 11 Declan Rices, please. And I think if they did have 11 Declan Rices, they would have already won this title.
Have you seen him in goal?
He's amazing. Forget where he plays. It's just his drive. If he doesn't play well, he'll make players around him better. And I believe he's authentic. I believe what he says. You know, there's no acting there. I just think it's tough for him at the moment, and it's going to be tough. But I think Declan's absolutely right there. They have to have a positive mindset. 5 points clear. They would have took that at the beginning of the season. Forget what's gone. Forget that they drew 2-2 with Wolves, the worst team, you know, nearly in the history of the Premier League, with a 2-goal lead, and they throw it away. They have to forget all of that. They have to really.
How do you though forget that? As I mentioned right at the start, it's only 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Merce was sat here talking about that 9-point lead at the end of the Saturday show.
It's gone. And why people? Because I've been in that position myself. The reason why people ask you about is you going to bottle it? Is it about the mentality? It's because you're in it. You know, people are not asking Liverpool players about that because they're not in it. They're not asking Chelsea players because they're not in it. Not Tottenham players, not Man United.
So you want to be
players.
asked those questions?
Of course you want to, because you have to embrace that. You just say, we're asking them questions, and we love it because that means we're in it. The unfortunate thing is for Arsenal is they've been in there for the last 3 years, and they've come up second. So everyone's going to point the finger and say they do it again. There's going to have to be a time when they do get over the line. And if they do get over the line, they could be a real threat. But it gets harder. If you was not to do it this year, it will get harder again next year because other teams will get better. And I think they've had a fantastic lead. Of course they have. But forget about it now. It's a clean slate. I hear Mikel Arteta talking about this might be the game we need, a North London derby. But it might be also the game that Tottenham need, an Igor Tudor.
Yeah. It's massive, simply huge for both sides, and we'll look at it in more detail in a short while. But Clinton, reflecting on what happened at Wednesday night on Molineux, they're 2-0 up, and then dramatically right at the end, they leave Molineux with a point. We were arguing that the point against Brentford away, the game before in the Premier League, was a good point. This was definitely not a good point given the position they were in. So how then, picking up what Tim was saying there, do they make sure that there aren't mental scars that develop from this game?
See, it's getting over the line, and Tim would be the best because obviously he's won the league, so he's just explained it to you brilliantly. But it's about getting over the line for them at the moment. And they're making big mistakes. They weren't making these mistakes earlier on in the season where he don't need to come David Raya. Gabriel's going to deal with that and just head it, and you can see there's a collision.
Are you seeing a nervous?
Yeah, there is a nervous.
They
are nervous because they don't know how to get over the line at the moment, and they're nervous. But they're still ahead. It's still in their hands. They need to stop panicking.
But it's February.
That's what. But we're talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. So they're going to listen to noises. Even though you say, all right, we're going to stick to what's happening in the camp, you're still going to listen to it. Look, you see one of the coaches arguing with one of the Wolves bench. Everyone's in their emotions at the moment because they know they're so close, Arsenal. But these kind of results where you're 2-0 up and you're comfortable in the game and you can see so late in the game, it's frustrating. But they've got to stick together. And that interview we've seen from Declan Rice, I do think he's the most important player for them.
Should he be captain?
Listen, in my opinion, he should be captain. Odegaard is the captain. When you go onto that pitch, it doesn't matter if Tim's got the captain on. You can still be the captain. You can still be the captain, and he leads in different ways. And if you're not doing it, Declan Rice will speak about this is frustration from Jesus. They've just conceded, and he's frustrated with Mascherano at the end of the game. They're just frustrated at the Arsenal. Have to keep their emotions intact, and Mikel Arteta is the man to do that at the moment.
But if you're looking on as Manchester City, we shouldn't forget Aston Villa because they win later today. They go 5 points behind Arsenal. They draw level on points with City ahead of their game later this evening against Newcastle from 8 o'clock. But if you're looking on and seeing those scenes at the end, you're seeing a fragility, aren't you? You're seeing an opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, when you listen to Pep Guardiola, he just says we're just focusing on ourselves. We're just focusing on getting our job done. And they've got that experience. They've got that know-how. The manager that's done it. Yes, you can say some of the squad haven't been there. But the fact that Pep Guardiola's been there, that the club's been there, they know how to get over the line. So, yeah, of course, you can imagine there will be huge pressure, huge emotion, whether that's the fans in the ground, whether that's the players, the manager, because it's been a long time, hasn't it, since they've won the trophy. They've come close so many times. So now it's a case of we just have to get it done. And that game against Wolves, I think, you know, the fact that you can see there, can't you, the Opta.
Is Opta all right?
I was going to say don't ask Mers, but
I just think no, and it's just going to be close, isn't it? That's the thing. There's going to be so many more twists and turns to this. So, you know, we can't overreact to one result. I think one week we'll say, oh, it's definitely Arsenal's. The next week it's Manchester City's. We just don't know. And there will be games. Yes, they've got to play each other, but there'll be other games where they could potentially slip up.
And Boydie, what we've seen historically, particularly you remember the Manchester United years under Sir Alex Ferguson, they would always get a result somehow. They were ruthless in their pursuit of Premier League title after Premier League title. How do Arsenal discover some ruthlessness now between now and the end of May?
I mean, looking at them, especially defending, they're too eager for me. You know, you look at, I think they were praised so much for their, their defensive stability at the start of the season. You look at it now and the bodies getting thrown in front. Gabriel wants to go and header it. David Raya's coming out his goals. I don't think he needs to. It's as if they're trying to make sure that everything's done properly. And when you do that, you end up, maybe making mistakes when you're lunging into things, when you're making decisions that.
And that's born out here, isn't it? Because the first 20 games, points per game 2.4.
Simon,
to 1 point.
we were listening. If you go back to the start of the season as well, everybody was talking about Chelsea's record was in doubt. That clean sheet record, the amount of goals. I mean, they're falling off a cliff in terms of that defensive unit, but I think it comes from further up the pitch as well. They're not creating the same amount. They're definitely not taking the chances that are being created. There's a lot of noise around Arsenal, and you kind of get the feeling that this will just be suiting Manchester City now. There's a lot of noise around Arsenal. There has been for a number of months now. There's an expectation there now, and they're going to have to deliver. They're going to have to find a way to get over. They've been nearly men the last few seasons. They're going to have to find a way to go over the line.
And is key to getting over the line, because you look at goal scorers in the Premier League for them. It's only Gyökeres who's above 5 for them at the moment.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz, we're waiting to see if he's going to be fit enough to play in the North London derby. It sounded reasonably positive from Arteta tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is he potentially the key going forward to keep him fit? Because his influence on the side is huge, isn't it?
Yeah. I think from open play, I think he's got the guile to open up defences, you know, in tight areas. A lot of teams play against him. We don't know how with Igor Tudor's side how he's going to go about it tomorrow, but I would imagine he would sit quite deep and try and counter-attack. So there's not going to be a lot of room to operate. You're going to need players who can operate in tight areas with disguised passing.
You see Saka in that number 10 role again?
Well, the only reason I don't is because Eze scored a hat-trick in a reverse fixture. So I think possibly Eze plays.
Does he bring him in?
But if Saka...
Purely on what he did in the last North London derby. I mean, I think
Some
Palace
managers
last season got a couple against Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a barren spell. Of course he has. And Eze would argue, but I've not had a run of games, you know, really. A run of starts. He's come off the bench and he's failed to impact the game. I think if Eze plays, he plays in the 10, and then Saka will play instead of Madueke on the right-hand side. But, I mean, it's a good problem for Mikel to have, isn't it? You know, we're talking about... we haven't got a problem with the squad. They've ticked that box. They've addressed that from last couple of seasons. So the only problem they've got is in between their ears at the moment, and that's the biggest problem. And they need to get over the line mentally, and they need to do it. You're capable of doing it. They are capable of doing it, but it's all right talking about it. You just need to get on with it and really use some focus of getting it. And like I say, if they do get over the line, they can be a force to reckon with, but it's going to get harder and harder the more years they go and they finish up the bridesmaids.
When you look at that's key, you know, for me. When you know, you've not got strikers or forward players that are killers right now. We've seen it in the past where it seems to be Saka goes in a run and he'll score goals. Gyökeres can do it. Trossard, Martinelli. There is goals in the team, but they've all seemed to have dried up at the same time. And you look at, I mean, even the corner kicks and from set plays, they were a threat. For me, Kai Havertz could be the difference between now and the end of the season. And I say it because there is no doubt that for Mikel Arteta, Gyökeres, he wants him as his number 9. Gabriel Jesus is there. But when you look at Saka, Eze, Martinelli, Trossard, whoever plays, they want to dribble with the ball. And if you're a striker and your movement, you want to get away from defenders quickly, you need somebody who's just going to go on the ball, 1-2 touch and move it, pass it quick. And Kai Havertz does that because it's going to get... I mean, defences are going to sit in against them now. They already have. It's going to be a lot tighter. And Kai Havertz, for me, could be the man to unlock that. But when I look at Saka and people, it's dribble. They want to make things happen. You know, they're very good.
Well, he's right, what he's saying about Havertz.
I just feel as if it's something different
I agree
for
with you,
Havertz.
I totally agree they do miss Havertz, but Eze can do that. That's why you brought him in. When you're playing against...
But there's a lack of trust there.
Yeah, that's what I think it's a lack of trust when they don't have the ball. Because we always know he's not good when they don't have the ball. When they're on the ball, he's a fantastic player. I think Boyd's right. When they don't have the ball, it's what he does. His tracking back is like. But if you're playing against a team who's got a low block, that's why you brought him in, to go and unlock the passes like that. So obviously he's sitting there frustrated.
That's the opposite, because if you look at Pep Guardiola, he will throw his attacking players on the pitch and they'll go and create and take players on, where Mikel Arteta is probably a little more... He doesn't... I mean... Obviously, maybe the handbrake's on, but he's got good players to go and do it. I think we might have, because of when you look at Arsenal, the goals they've scored, and they deserve to be spoken about as they are an attacking threat. But he is more, defensive-minded, and that could end up coming back to bite him in the back.
Mourinho's a huge blow for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's a goal threat. Spurs set pieces and from open play, because when teams sit back, you can just lump it into the box. He's a big threat. I think he's got a poacher's instinct. I think going back to Eze, when Eze was brought in, when he rehearsed, when he's playing for the QPRs and when he's playing for the Palaces, teams would come out against them. Now teams do not come out against Arsenal. They sit back. So that, I'm not saying he can't, but that space where he operates in behind the opposition midfield has got tighter and tighter. It needs to find a way. It's no good in coming this side of the midfield, because the midfield players can do that.
But that's where good players adapt to him. That's where good top players adapt, because they realise that there's not space to go and dribble, and you've got to move it 1 and 2 touch to create those opportunities.
Well, 2 of Eze's last 3 Premier League starts, he's been off at half-time, so clearly at the moment Arteta doesn't have full faith in him. Will he start tomorrow? Brilliant, of course, in the first North London derby of the season with that hat-trick. Let's just look, Sue, at what is coming up for Arsenal in terms of fixtures. We, of course, will talk more about the North London derby that's coming up tomorrow live on Super Sunday. But I'm drawn to those 3 matches. March the 22nd, we've got the League Cup final at Wembley. Then after the international break, they've got Bournemouth at home. and then it's Manchester City away in the league again. In terms of the direction of this title race come the end of the season, that run of 3 games, but particularly that meeting at Wembley, how big an impact does that have on where this title goes?
Yeah, and you could look at it both ways, couldn't you? You could look at it, well, if Arsenal go and win that, obviously that's then the confidence and the momentum to then go and play them away from home and try and beat Manchester City there. So those 3 games will be key, but I think you could probably say a case for all of them, couldn't you? You could say a case for the North London derby. How is that going to, play out in terms of a new manager? It is the North London derby. So you could go through a lot of those games and say that. But I think the big picture with Arsenal is, like, over the last few months, they haven't been good enough, have they? They've not been good enough to pull away from Manchester City, which we've kept saying that they've got that distance. Can they actually go and pull away? And I suppose the perfect game for them to get back on track, because they have been in a blip, to get back on track will be the North London derby, see how that is. And they've got the squad, Tim said it, they've got the squad, they've got the quality of players. It's now just about, it's that belief and that mentality of doing it. But yeah, there's a lot of games there you could look at and go, well, you've got teams fighting at the bottom end of the table. But the Manchester City game, of course, the final and the league is what you're drawn to.
Sue's right. The final is, for me, I've said it many times, it's the final. If they can get over the line, Arsenal in that final, you make them favourites. If they don't get over the line,
could land a massive psychological blow in that final.
100%, yeah, 100%, because then you play each other 2 games later, but that is the big game. Win that, and then Arsenal could go on and win the league. If they don't, I think Man City will win it. And what we were saying earlier is, if Man City go ahead, I don't think Arsenal catch them.
Boydie, we were talking to Clinton yesterday on the team's meeting call ahead of today, which we've not seen you on yet so far. There's plenty of chances for you to join us, but he was very confident.
I had a charity event on. Charity raising money.
Well done, well done.
That's good.
Well
that's
done.
good.
I'll come on it next week.
OK, I'll hold you to that. I don't think you're on the show next week. We're getting diverted. Just on the game tomorrow. I mean, we'll come on and talk about Tottenham. We have nothing to go on at the moment. We've not seen a Tottenham Hotspur side under Igor Tudor until tomorrow at 4:30. What do you expect to happen tomorrow from an Arsenal point of view? Do you agree with Clinton that you'd expect them to win fairly comfortably?
Well, one will never agree with Clinton, that's for sure. But listen, it's not going to be easy. I mean, a derby game is never easy. You're going to have to fight to win the battles we start with. But I do think Arsenal, they've had the upper hand in that fixture now for a number of years. They're a strong team. We keep speaking, and I get it, and we've all been guilty of it. We keep speaking about the squad depth that Arsenal have got, but you get the feeling that it's now coming down to that starting 11 need to start producing. They need to start getting results, and what an opportunity it is to go and do that, against their rivals tomorrow.
36 hours after the Wolves game, head still spinning a little bit. You're still processing that.
Yeah, really, really difficult to process in the moment. I think right now, I processed it, digested it. Obviously, because we have such a big game on Sunday, we can't dwell on the other night too much. But from our standards, it was to be 2-0 up with half an hour to play. You've seen us in games this season. We either go on to win that 3 or 4, or we see the game out at 2-0. So to come back and for them to come back and draw 2-2 was sickening and very, very disappointing in the end.
Can you put your finger on what happened in that last sort of half an hour?
We just stopped doing the basics.
Why?
I don't know. It's easy for people to say, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. In a game of football, it swings both ways all the time. We ended up getting into the game they wanted to play, which was duels, long balls, giving them silly fouls. They kept putting the ball in the box, so we're constantly on the back foot. We didn't really get a foothold in the game after the goal, which is what's disappointing, because at 2-0 up, you think we're going to walk away with it. Yeah. But look, it's one of them things. Mistakes happen in football. It's part of the journey that we're on. It's never going to be like plain sailing every single week. Obviously, it was a real kick in the teeth because it was 3 points that were there for you. But that doesn't stop what we want to go for and what we want to achieve, and that's why, yesterday I was still thinking about the game, but I've come in today and I feel, really more relaxed about it, just because, not about the result, but just in terms of my mindset and things like that.
But you have to move on, right?
Yeah, you have to move on, and obviously with the game that's coming next and the week after, we need to be ready for that.
When you've had a bad day or a disappointing result, do you have a process for moving on? Like, what are you like after the game? How are you the next day? How do you handle it?
The manager's really, really good at calming down situations. You see a lot of talk of what's it going to be like in the changing room? What are players going to be saying to each other? Like, us as players, trust me, if you were in there the other night, you would see how much it means to us. And that's the level we need to be at, because if you want to win stuff, you need to be able to demand stuff of each other and say truths in the moment, you know. I've had them done to me, you know, other players have had them done to themselves in their time, and that's just part of trying to build a winning culture. And I think that's where the manager, like I said, comes in, because he comes in always from different angles and puts a perspective on things, and, you know, is really calm. And obviously yesterday we had a day off to clear our minds, obviously, and then now we're going into Spurs, and we're going to be ready.
So go on then, you touched on it there. Take us into that changing room in the moments after that Wolves game. It was volatile, was it?
I think from the moment I come in to the moment where we're at now, I've seen a big difference in terms of after games and the mentality of the boys, in terms of if things ain't right, things will get brought up and things will get said in the moment, even if it's heated. But 5-10 minutes after that, you know, you'll shake hands and, you know, it's over. But that's what it's about. You know, I've seen documentaries on top teams over the years and how they push and demand from each other, and when bad moments come, saying something and getting something off your chest that you feel can actually help the situation. So I think the other night that was needed, because at 2-0 we should have went on to win the game. We know the position we're in. But like I said, we've all just come in this morning, and, you know, we're men, you know. We shook hands the other night. It was disappointing. It was not nice, but we've come in now and we're ready to go for Spurs. So.
And what would you say about, like, form in general at the moment? 2 wins in 7.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain that?
Yeah, it's obviously not looking good on paper. My thing is, I've looked yesterday at the results that we've had and the goals we've conceded, and I think the goals that we're conceding were self-inflicted goals. I could go through so many goals, but just where we'd make a mistake and we give the game back into the opponent, whether it's from like a second phase or like the first phase of a corner where we're usually so strong.
Yeah, is that become a habit? Letting teams back in?
It's not become a habit, because it's been our strong point. You know, our defence has been incredible. Everyone's in sync from front to back. But there comes points in the season you ain't going to be perfect for the whole season. What we was doing at the start of the season, there was talks of can they go on to do clean sheets, and there was never any thought of that from us, because this is the Premier League now. Like, you're playing against the best players week in, week out, and any team can surprise you. Wolves. Like, everyone would have thought, oh, Arsenal are going to win comfortably at Wolves. They have good players. And that's why you've got to be switched on 24/7 in this league, because you can get hurt at any time.
I suppose what a lot of people are looking at it at the moment and thinking, because over the last few years you've not got over the line, is the weight of that, is the pressure of that playing a part in the performances and in the results? What do you think?
Me playing? No. Like, this is just another day. It's another game. Like, of course we're first, and outside noise and fans from other teams, people are going to talk it up. We're on our own journey, we're on our own path, and we fully believe in each other here. We want to do it because we've got such a good core group, such quality players now that we can do it, and it shows that then we can flick a page in terms of people talking about that mentality.
Well, one thing that stuck with me after the Man United game, the manager talking about, look at the position that we've earned for ourselves. We have to enjoy this.
Yeah.
This might be completely wrong, because obviously I'm not inside it. It does sometimes feel at the moment like you're not enjoying it. Is that wrong? Is it right?
No, we enjoy it every day. Like, every day coming in here with these teammates, like the manager, the coaching staff, I can tell you now, it's unreal. Like, you enjoy it. Of course you do. This is our job. You know, we're playing for Arsenal. You know, final of the cup, next round of the FA Cup, final in the first phase of the Champions League, first in the Premier League. So we need some perspective about where we are, but also we need to look a bit bigger to understand that if we carry on doing what we're doing in terms of the results, it isn't going to last. So it's on us as players to pick that up, because we have it in us to win every game. I believe that. I genuinely believe with this group, with this players, what we've done here before, I can see us. We could go on a run and easily win games, but it's on us, you know. It's going to be switched on. You're going to be ready for everything that's thrown at you, because that's what's needed for these final games.
As I think the manager said after the game, straight after Wolves, you know, is the next game the perfect game?
100%. I think North London derby is always special. You know, I've been able to play in a few of them now and understand the rivalry, understand, you know, who you're playing up against, what it means. And yeah, on Sunday, isn't just going to be about football. It's going to be about how much you want it as well. You know, you're going away to Spurs. They have a new manager. Obviously, yeah, they've had loads of injuries, but it's going to be a game both of us are going to want to win. And there'll be a lot of quality on the pitch, but that day it's all in your mind. You know, how much do you really want it? And yeah, you've got to fight for it. And trust me, I want it. So yeah, we're going to be ready.
I feel like it's not that other games don't suit you, but it's kind of your type of match. You know, like a battle, a fight, something you can sort of chuck yourself into, lead from the front.
Yeah.
Are they? You relish every game, I'm sure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You look at this one and think, I'll have a bit of this.
Yeah, definitely. I think getting to play away as well. I've only been able to do that once for Arsenal at that Spurs stadium. So look, it's going to be tense because obviously we're going away to there. Like I said, they got the new manager, but we've got to be ready for everything that's thrown at us, and we've got to gain that energy off the crowd. You know, from within, you've got to think every fan in there, other than the Arsenal fans, you know, they're trying to beat us today. And
do you love that?
Yeah, you have to. I think, you know, you've got to enjoy these moments for sure. But I believe in this team. I believe in this squad, and I know what we can do and what we're capable of. So yeah, we're going to be ready.
Do you think the team performance in the first game against Spurs was your best, or maybe your most fluent performance of the season?
I think it was a really good performance because we dominated them in every phase of play. The high press, you know, mid block, defensive block. We was really good that day. It was probably one of our best performances of the season. But you also get that extra energy when it's a London derby, when it's Spurs, when you're at home. It gets spoken about so much. So that result that day didn't surprise me.
I wanted to ask you about Eze, because you obviously know what it's like being a new player, coming in, big fee and having to impress. He was unbelievable that day, but it's probably been more difficult since. What do you see from him? And how big is that challenge when you make the step up? You had a very similar thing.
Yeah, it's a massive step, and he's coped with it amazingly well. Even though it looks like he's not played a lot of games, he has played so many games for us already, and he's done amazing for us. And his mindset and the way he trains, the way he looks after his body, the way he is with the boys. I've never seen a player settle so quickly with lads like Ez has done. So that's credit to him. But I see his quality every day, and we have a special player on our hands, and it's down to us and obviously down to him to keep getting the best out of himself, because you know he's more than capable of doing anything on a football pitch. Some of the stuff he does with the ball on the pitch, you're just like, how do you even do that? He just glides with the ball beautifully. So yeah, we need to keep getting the best out of him. You know, he's done amazing for us so far, but there's much more to come. It's only his first season, so yeah, much more to come.
Also wanted to ask you about how football has changed, Premier League has changed. How much has the league changed in the last, or even during the course of this season?
Yeah, so much. I think this is my 10th season in the Prem. I would probably say this has probably been one of probably is the toughest in terms of that it's been.
Do you mean the quality, the physicality, both?
I think the quality, yeah. I think a lot of people have an opinion that the Prem is not where it is. The Prem is not where it's at the minute. But you could ask any player in the Premier League, they'd tell you the opposite. I think a lot of people, the game has changed in terms of probably physicality, duels, set pieces, trying to gain an advantage wherever you can.
Yeah.
That's where it's changed. And in terms of the quality, every time you play against a team now, every team's got 2 or 3, 4 players who have world-class ability and are very good. And on their day, if you're not switched on, they can punish you. So this year's not been easy. It's not been a walk in the park, you know. We've done really well because as a collective, our 11 starters, the players that have come off the bench have all chipped in and helped us with goals in the moment. So yeah, I think that's why it's been tough, but the Premier League is it's definitely changing.
And Sunday will be your 100th Premier League appearance for Arsenal. I mean, firstly, that's gone quick, hasn't it? But also in so many ways, in the way you've progressed, become, I think, a more versatile player, talked about whenever there's discussions about the best player in your position. Do you feel like in so many ways it's just gone, as well as it could have done, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've just tried to work as hard as I can and give it everything I've got. I watched a good podcast of like Steven Gerrard with Rio Ferdinand the other week, and he was just talking about himself as a midfielder and like what he was, and he didn't put him down to like one thing. He just said he's a midfielder that could have done a bit of everything, but he was the best at doing everything. And I think he's someone that I love to look up to and look forward to, just because of how he was on the pitch, his demeanour, how he took games by the scruff of the neck, the fight he showed, the passion. And over the years, I've tried to watch him as much as possible, and I think I've started to grow into that much more. Still a long way off before I hit his level. But yeah, I think he's someone I've really tried to emulate since I've moved into this box-to-box role, and it's really helped me. So I want to keep going. 100 games for Arsenal in the Premier League is, it's special. So yeah, I'm really happy.
And do you know what? I think back to all the interviews I've done with you over the years, and you've always said there's much more to come, and you've been right. And do you still feel that?
Yeah, 100%. I think every year when the season ends, I look at myself and I think, where can you? My dad used to say it to me: how are you going to get better again? Like, how are you not going to stall that other people go past you? And you need to have this mindset that you're just going to keep getting better and better. And I think consistency plays a massive part in my game. Knowing how to play well, knowing when to do the right things right. So yeah, look, I think there is much more to come from me. I think this season's been amazing. Still so much more football to be played. But I do think I can still go to more levels. So yeah, exciting times to come.
And very lastly, we've sort of said it's gone almost perfectly. I mean, we know the one thing to add, don't we? It's the trophies.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what we all want as players. That's what the manager wants. I think we're so driven and hungry to try and win something. I think if you come in and see us, there's a group of boys here that, like I said, the mindset's changed in terms of we know what we want and we know we're in a great position to go and do it, but it's on us. So a big fight coming up over the next 2-3 months, but one we're going to relish.
Good man.
Top man.
Regis, over 18 months now at Sunderland. How is life on Weir's side? I know the football's going well, but what about life away from football up here?
It's really similar to my region, because I come from Brittany in France. So the region is similar, with beaches, with the same, more or less the same area. So it's really easy for me to connect with the region.
And how have you found the people up here since you arrived in the summer of 2024?
Patient. We are talking about patient fan base, big fan base, huge history around the club, and they are really committed and always supportive with the club.
What is, when you bump into fans in the street or on the beach or in a cafe, what's the first thing that they want to talk to you about?
Next game. They want to win the next one, because I think a football club is designed for that. And this passion is around how you can support the club, but you want to win, you want to be proud of the identity of the club. So it's always, it's often about the next game, and they want to win, they want to show a great identity, and they want to see hard workers on the pitch.
Can you count the amount of times that someone has mentioned the derby to you, either before it or after the one you just had?
Probably from the beginning, huh? Yeah. So even when we
more than 1 million times or less?
Yeah, probably more. When we started in the Premier League this season, I think a fan told me you can be relegated if you win against Newcastle. So I told him we want to stay in the league, but I understand the importance of this derby.
Yeah, I don't think any manager would have it that way around. But yeah, the fans like that. When they come up to you, do they call you Reggie?
Yeah, still.
Reggie, do you mind?
No problem. I like it, because for me it's not a problem, and I want to be part of this region. So English, French. Sometimes the translation is not easy.
Before the Liverpool game, Florent Gisol, the director of football, gave an interview, and he said something that was really interesting to me and other Sunderland fans. He said, when it comes to signing a player, what does he look for? And he said, the only thing we ask for is Sunderland. And he went on to explain he meant like the values of the people around here. What does that mean to you? What are the values of Sunderland?
I think when you start in the club, you have to understand the history and the characteristic of the community. Because when you will link your game model, the way you will train, the way you will give feedbacks to the players about the style of play, it's important to understand the pillars and how you can enjoy watching Sunderland team when you are in the stands. And we started like that, so it's about teamwork, it's about commitment, it's about intensity, it's about being brave. And sometimes the football side won't be brilliant, but you'll have values behind the effort of the team.
Pure hard work, I think, is what the fans demand from everyone at the club, isn't it? And when you came to the club, like I said, in the summer of 2024, the club had just finished 16th in the Championship, which wasn't a disaster, but for Sunderland it's not great. When you took over, did you really believe that you could do it in one season, as in achieve promotion in one season?
Yeah, it was hard to anticipate the final result, but when I watched the footage, analyzed the games of this season, previous season I came in, I felt that the quality was there, but the team had a lack of consistency. And I think my methodology, the way we work with the staff, was designed to bring consistency. And the talent was already there, but it was a question of just giving more references, a bit more stability, a bit more consistency. So I was confident about the ability to be performant in this league.
And how many times a day do you think about Dan Ballard's header against Coventry?
For a manager, we can't think like that. It's a great memory, obviously, because it was a really important event in this season. But we are always thinking about now and just the next game. So maybe in the summer I will think again, but not often.
Okay, surely the Tommy Watson winner. I mean, it's going to have to, whenever it is that you retire, that must be in your memory forever.
Yeah, probably, because those two games, the playoffs in Coventry, at the Stadium of Light and at Wembley, it was absolutely fantastic. But as a team, as a coaching staff, I think as a club, we are so involved in the event that we can't realize. It's really difficult because we are part of the story. So maybe, yeah, when I will be retired, I'll have time to think about those events, and will be great memories.
Did you at least have a chance to celebrate last summer? Because it's some achievement. I mean, I don't mean straight after the game, we were actually at the same party in that rooftop in London somewhere, and you were very, very calm. Not everybody in there was calm. I wasn't very calm. I was celebrating with everybody else. Yeah. But did you at least allow some time to look back? I know it's so obvious that you focus on what's next. But at that time, did you celebrate in any way?
Yes, I think we were proud as a family. Me and my family, we were really proud because this achievement was massive, and it's the connection with a region, with fans, with a big club, and we achieved a big season. But it's always the same, so we gave everything. And probably we were a bit tired, so just relax a bit. And now we have to go through another big challenge in the Premier League, and we want to keep this club in this league. We want to achieve more goals, and we can't stop.
Well, you did not stop. You got to work straight away in the summer. Did it surprise you how much you were backed when it comes to transfers?
I think Kirill, the owner, is really smart and ambitious. So he didn't start to think about the Premier League just after the final. he prepared and the club prepared this option, and if it comes quickly, we'll have a plan. And we try to understand what went wrong with the 6 clubs who got promoted and went back quickly in the Premier League to the Championship, and try to define with those thoughts and our identity how we can plan the best way to stay in the league and to be ambitious.
How does the transfer process work? What's your role in it? Because you've got the owner, who I believe is quite hands-on. You've got Florent Gissolfi. You did have Christian Speakman back then as well. What is your role in all of that? When do you come into that process?
So it starts with the game model. How do we want to play as a team? What do we need in different phases, in different positions? What are the expectations in the Premier League? And after that, you try to design the identity of the best player possible for Sunderland. So the recruitment staff worked hard behind the scenes, and I come at the end of the process to say, yes, I agree with this profile, and we should try to sign in. And then Flo, Christian, and Kirill speak with the agent, with the players. Generally I have a video call with the player to see if it fits about the personality and the connection, and after that, if we can sign him, we go.
That personality, I suppose, goes back to what I was talking about there. The only thing we ask is something, if they haven't got that, no matter how good they are, would you just say no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not for us.
Yeah. And last season, even during the winter transfer window, we said no for many profiles, because it was possible to strengthen the team with talented players, but did they fit with the team or not? If we thought that wasn't the case, we said no, and we recruited only Enzo Lefebvre, for example, and it was a great signing.
Yeah, well, certainly has been so far, hasn't he? In terms of selling players, then, we know that the way Sunderland work is, if a good price comes in, you can sell that player. It's football business. It's standard. Like Joe Bellingham went. Jack Clark came pretty much quite soon after you came in, having scored a winning goal for you before he did, by the way. Yeah. And before you came, there was Ross Stewart as well, who went to Southampton for a lot of money. Is there ever a time, or is there a player in the current squad that you would say, I know it's good money, but please don't sell this player?
It's probably a different stage of our pathway, of our journey now. So we have an ambition for the club. We know that it's part of the process to sell 1 or 2 players, depending on the market, because you have to invest to go further. So if you don't sell, you can't invest. It's always the part of the process in the Premier League as well. But I think the owner and the club in general are really ambitious, so it's not a question of just making money. We want to be ambitious in sporting ambitions.
How ambitious? Where can you take Sunderland in the next? We've been here 1.5 years. Let's say another 1.5 years. Where can you get to?
I don't really know, because we still have competition. So about us, I think we think that Sunderland is part of the top 10 in the Premier League in its history. So we want to rebuild the foundations in the modern world, I would say, with this goal. It won't be easy, because the Premier League is so hard, so competitive, but this is the main goal.
Is it ridiculous to think that Sunderland could qualify for Europe this season? And let's say we did qualify for Europe, would there be a bit of a worry on how we'd cope with the extra games next season?
I don't know yet. We have 36 points so far, and we need probably, depending on the race, for the retention, 40, 42, 43. So let's set this first target. If we reach it, I think we'll set another goal, but it's too early to do that. And games are so hard, but it's still competitive.
Best moment of this season so far? Best single moment?
Newcastle.
what you might say about it. I think the fans in here, we've got a bit of an audience here, I think they might have all nodded when you said that as well, and there's another one coming up, by the way, as you well know, in March. In terms of the club, what you won't know is that I asked, or you might know, I asked some of your backroom staff. I said, can you tell me something about Regis that I might not know, maybe something funny, or maybe something he does that we don't know? Now, all of them said, actually, to be honest with you, I don't. But these are some of the words that your backroom staff have used about you, all right? They're all positive.
Let me know.
Don't worry. I'm going to tell you right now. Meticulous, driven, focused, detailed. All positive, all compliments. Do you agree with all those?
Yeah, this is my personality. I come from a working class community as well, so we have to earn everything. And it's probably one of the key points to be so well connected with this club and this region. This is my values. So as a manager, I want to inspire the coaching staff, the people around and the players in that way. This is the way we can build something ambitious. It's by just working hard. And after that, if you work hard, you make mistakes, you will fail, you will have ups and downs, but you will learn something. And this is my life.
You know what? They also all said, all of them that I asked said the same thing. He's a nice guy, which I can see. Again, another compliment. Have you got a nasty streak? Do you need to have a nasty streak to succeed at your level?
I think we...
Or how about I say ruthless rather than nasty?
Yeah, I would say just being myself. It's not. We don't work as an actor. If you stay yourself with your personality, you don't have to hide something. You have your doubts, you have your beliefs, and so on. I think if you behave like a human, simply with humility and hardworking. Ambition as well, but you behave like you wanted for the people to behave. I think the connection is going well.
When it comes to the owner, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, I think he's proved that he is quite ruthless. That word I just used there, he probably is quite ruthless. Some people have come and gone, coaching staff, playing staff. We know that Christian Speakman left a week or so ago. Do you like that in an owner? Do you want an owner who's ruthless, who thinks, right, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it?
Yeah, I think so. Because this league, this industry is really competitive, so you have to do the job. And it's the case on the pitch. The Premier League is ruthless, 100%. If you don't do the job properly, the opponent will kill you. And so you have to behave every day in that way, otherwise it's not aligned. And in this industry, if you want to be competitive, you have to do the job always.
Sometimes when there's a problem, I hear you in news conference saying, well, we'll find a solution. You say that very calmly. I remember last season when we had no right backs, you said, we'll find a solution. And it turned out that it was moving Alan Brown to right back, and it worked. You found that solution to it. Things since you've come in have been brilliant. So if we go through a bad run of form, are you confident that you can find a solution to that problem?
It can happen. It can happen because I think every team in this league had a long run of bad results. It wasn't our case so far, but it's still possible. So it's about consistency once again. How do you want to solve problems? If you are not good in different phases, in different positions, you have to find a solution. Don't complain because you don't have the players, you don't have you don't know the referee decisions are not positive. You can't just talk about external excuses. It's about yourself. So I want to behave like that. So it means that even if things goes wrong, you have to find a solution. It's always a problem-solving situation.
Have you seen the way that Sunderland club legends are treated around the club? Kevin Ball, Peter Reid got us promoted twice, 7th in the Premier League twice, obviously Kevin Phillips as well, Niall Quinn on off the pitch. I mean, at one point he helped to save the club. Even when I think of Sam Allardyce, who was here for less than a season, all he did was keep us up. Sunderland fans love him, same with Gus Poyet.
Yeah.
Have you seen the way they're treated, one? And two, do you realise that you're well on that road?
Yeah, so I know that. Legends are really respected. And probably it's too early for me to think about how people will remember me. But the main point for me is to be 100% committed. I want to work hard. I want to give the best of myself for that club and for that job.
Because you really would be, when you are like those people I've just said, you really are genuinely loved, completely loved. Sunderland, and in fairness, same with Newcastle fans as well. Sunderland and Newcastle fans, they put people who are heroes at their football club right up here, like absolute legends, footballing legends. And I'd love to know how great that would feel for anyone to be like that. And all those people I've just mentioned, I know them, and they really appreciate it. And it could be you.
Yeah, it's an honor and privilege, I think, because I'm really proud to be the manager of this club, to be successful with the team. And for the future, we'll see, because this job, this industry is hard, so you have to work hard, and I hope we'll have many successes again.
Now, not for 1 second am I suggesting you should have a statue yet, by the way, but you will notice at the ground there is a statue of Bob Stokoe, the last Sunderland manager to win the FA Cup. We're still in the FA Cup. How important is that competition to you and the club in general?
Yeah, we started this competition strong against Everton, and it was tough because it was a part of the schedule, a busy part, but we decided to go strong, to give us the best possibility as possible to win the game, and we wanted to respect the competition and the badge. So it worked well against Everton. Then we went last week against, so it was a good game, and once again, Oxford, championship game, and the lads did really well. So we want to respect, and we give the energy, and we'll see for the future, because we don't know. So we know maybe that our next opponent, it won't be an easy game for sure. After that, if we can get to the next round, we'll see, because the draw is not done.
Not that far away from Wembley, not that far away, and you've got a great record there so far. Of course, do you know the last Sunderland manager who's lasted 2 full seasons at the club?
No, let me know.
It was from 2009 to 2011, so a long time ago, and that was Steve Bruce. That's how long ago it's been. How important is it? You've mentioned the word stability quite a few times. At the moment, with you being here for nearly 2 seasons at this stage, nearly 2 seasons, that stability, is it obvious that the players need that?
Yeah, probably. I think it's important to bring foundations, consistency, and to give opportunities to the players to grow. If you change quickly from one manager to another one structure to another one head of rule to another one, I think you can create instability. And the best projects are always stable. You need to change something, because to fill a gap, to change ideas, I think it makes sense. But if you change all the time, it doesn't give you the best chance to succeed.
I believe I spent 23 minutes out of our 30 talking about anything other than the Fulham game, which is what we're here to talk about. So let's do that then. How highly do you rate Fulham? What do you like about them?
Yeah, they are. I think now they are stable. So they built over years a really good and strong project with good players. They are well managed, well coached, and they are really good in the ball. They are really good. The way they build up the play under pressure, they try to create an overload in the middle with talented wingers, the good ability to finish as well. They are really strong in that part of the game. So another tough challenge, exciting challenge for us at home.
I went to the game at Craven Cottage, which Fulham away is usually a brilliant away day for fans, but it's pouring with rain. The pubs were quite good, but the beer's far too expensive in Fulham. Far too expensive, not like it is up here. And of course, on the pitch, I don't think it's particularly offensive to say that it was one of the very few performances this season which wasn't that good from Sunderland. So how are you going to put that right?
Yeah, because it was a question of balance, and it's always a connection between an opponent and you. So you can't have the right level of energy, the good project, but if the opponent overwhelm you, and I think it was the case. They were better than us, especially with the ball. They created overloads. They used it. They feed their wingers. They were able to threaten our defense, and we didn't manage this part of the game. So we are always in balance, and I hope we'll be able to manage this part of the game better, because it will be key.
I kind of asked that question as though we lost 5-0 or something. It was only 1-0. You know, you were in that game completely, and that's just what happens in the Premier League, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned the Wolves game. If there's one goal in it, you've got a real chance for a positive result.
Yeah, absolutely. The game are tight, always tight, and the balance is subtle. It can evolve really quickly, and in the Premier League you have game changers as well. So you can do things really well, but one player can decide the outcome of a game.
In terms of the home record versus the away record, I know we have now been beaten at home, but the home record is excellent. Away record isn't bad, but there is a big difference there. Is that something that bothers you that much, or do you think, well, the home record's good enough, so?
Yeah, I want to keep it alive, this home form, because it's important for the output of the league. After that, away, yeah, it's a bit different because the opponent is probably a bit more proactive, a bit more dominant, and we had a lack of consistency about, especially I think, the way we can attack the goal and create chances. So it's a long way because it's not unusual. The newly promoted sides are always struggling in the Premier League in general, so especially away. So it's another objective for us, and I think we are working on it.
Good luck on Sunday, and good luck on winning the FA Cup and getting that statue.
I would like. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Over a week ago that Sir Jim Ratcliffe made his comments on immigration. Obviously they've had a global impact, but they've also been condemned by many people, including all Manchester United's major fans organisations. As the most visual face of the club, as the manager, the person that we hear from more than anyone else, could you give us your assessment of those comments and the impact they've made?
Yeah, I think, look, Sir Jim's made a statement, and then the club's made a statement on the back of it, really. So for me to add to that is not my place to add to that. I think enough been said in that regard. I think what I can say is, as I've been around this club many years, and I think we always make a huge impact globally in whatever way, and we're really responsible for that. And you know, throughout the years, as a player, as a member of staff, as a supporter, I think we're really proud of the environment and the culture that we've got at the club, and equality and diversity and respect for each other is something that we look to carry through every day. And I've travelled the world, and I know what this club means to an awful lot of people, so fully aware of the responsibility, and we're trying to carry that out every single day.
Is there a possibility that Sir Jim's comments undermine that? You were part of a multicultural squad. Sir Alex Ferguson made a point of emphasising the different backgrounds in that squad and said it was one of the reasons why you were so successful. You're now in charge of a squad with players from all kinds of different backgrounds, both from England and overseas. Have you had to speak to them? And is Sir Jim's comments possibly undermining unity and what you are trying to achieve?
We got a really strong group, whether that's the players in around the dressing room and the staff, and certainly around the club and outside of the club, but certainly within the club. I think we're in constant communication anyway. We're here to support each other and help each other in whatever way we can. So the boys have been in really good spirits this week in terms of training. We've had some time away, so I think that was important for a refresh and a bit of a deep breath of everything, you know, for the short time we've kind of been together to digest everything, and then come back and focusing on what's next. So we're looking forward to the next game at this stage. But yeah, obviously we're here to help each other, support each other in any way we possibly can.
Michael, just picking up off that though, do you think comments like that can impact a group that, as Simon mentioned, are from all around the world, from different backgrounds, from different social classes as well? You know, when they see someone of such leadership at the club, can that have an impact? I guess not even on the football, but just in any working environment.
Yeah, I think part of being at this club, we understand what it's like, and globally, and as I said, the responsibilities we have, and within this, and I can only speak from my personal experiences of being here for a long time, and with various managers, with various staff. Supporters lodge, you probably stayed the same, gathered some new supporters over the years, but all backgrounds, different backgrounds, and it's something we're fully aware of, and I am, and I'm proud of of what the club stands for and has done for so long, really, and I'm really aware of that.
Just on team news now, looking ahead to Monday, I think you mentioned Mason Mount could be close back to fitness for Everton, and De Ligt. Do you have any kind of updates on those especially?
Yeah, Mason's getting closer. I think we're really we're going to be patient as well, and we have been patient with him. So we don't want to push anything. He's an important part of the group, Mason, and we want him back and fit, and he'll have a big impact for us. So he's getting closer, which is good for us. Matt's a little bit working towards it, but as I said last week, he's a little bit behind Mason, really. So we're just trying to work with him to progress him to get him a bit closer, really.
Michael, how'd you go about beating Everton?
Listen, there's a lot goes into a game. David's teams are hard to play against, you know, and he's such a good manager, and with the experience he's got, and knowing what it takes to have success in this league, and it's a new challenge for us, you know. It's one we're looking forward to. I think it's one where we've had a lot of time to look forward to it. So yeah, it's going to take a lot. I think it's going away to Everton. I know it's a new stadium, but historically, it's always been tough. It's always been the atmosphere and the supporters that they create. I think it's always been one of the toughest ones that I've played away from home. So we're aware with that, and then trying to be our best way we can. You know, I think we've got things to improve on, but we've got a good base and a good foundation moving forward. Good spirit. So we'll have to draw on pretty much all of that on Monday night.
You said you've had a couple of weeks here to just take a breath and assess the start that you'd made together. Did you feel like the West Ham performance was a little bit of a step back from what you've shown, and what are the details that you think need to change for this Everton game? You may well have a similar approach to West Ham as well.
I think we've got to be a bit balanced, in terms of not getting carried away before that game in terms of winning games, and certainly not getting carried away if we don't come away with the 3 points. I think there's an understanding of games are tough to win in this league, and it's proven, not just for us. So I think a lot of the performance in terms of the control and how we went about the game there was a lot of good things in the game. It probably got open towards the end when we were chasing it a little bit more, but we looked dangerous. And scoring a late goal is a big positive. So I think it's an important point for us. Yeah, of course we wanted to win the game, but certainly not thinking that it was all bad or it's a big negative. I think we're pretty balanced going into the game to what we are coming out of it, really, and looking for the games ahead.
Thank you. Jamie.
Hi Michael. So it will have been 13 days by the time you play Everton. How has it been having an extended break like that? Has it been helpful, or do you feel it's broken the rhythm? And how are the plans going for a mid-season friendly when the next gap comes up? And how involved in the plans for that are you?
Yeah, we're trying to make it useful, the break that we've had at the moment. I think we're trying to make in different ways. I think it was important that I think when there's change and the kind of the month or so that we had together, I think it was important for everyone to have a couple of days to digest that and take it in. And so the boys have trained a bit, had a few days off, trained a bit again, and looking to get the balance right of keeping the rhythm, keeping the sharpness, keeping that the focus, which the boys have been, I have to say, really good in training again. And then moving forward, the fixtures have thrown up some mixture of gaps between games, really. So just adjusting and adapting, and we'll see what kind of comes of that. Especially obviously the international, and then a bit of a break after that. So we'll manage it as we go, but we'll obviously try and make the best of it.
How do you feel on the prospect of a friendly? Is it something you would welcome if that's what the club thinks is the right thing to do?
It just depends on a lot of things, really. I don't think there's a black or white answer with that one. I think it's really kind of we'll make a call, and there's a bit of an area in between where it depends on where the game is, what it's like, what time it is, when the fixtures fall. So it's not straightforward, but it's something if we need to look at, we can do if we think it's the best for the players.
Tonight it was at Molineux. Great to have you with me, mate. It's still very much, as the Arsenal fans watching will know, in Arsenal's hands. However, for the first time, it is also in Manchester City's hands. Is this now Pep's title to lose, if I phrase it that way?
Yes, I suppose you can say that. I mean, that's purely in the running, it has to be. But this is not a Man City team that we're used to seeing in previous seasons. I know last year they wasn't great. But again, this year, I don't think they've performed to the levels that Pep is used to his teams performing at. And I think there's been plenty of periods and opportunities during the season already this year where they've had opportunities to close gaps and they've fallen themselves. I think it's been that type of season, and that's the reason why I still believe that it'll be Arsenal that will get over the line, because of how vulnerable this City team are defensively.
We heard from Bukayo Saka there. He says Arsenal's players are not feeling the pressure. Do you genuinely believe him when you watch the last couple of performances?
No, I don't. But that's not to say that I'm knocking him for saying that. I think as a player, and you should be coming out saying those things. And listen, they might not be feeling it and openly talking about it. It might just be a subconscious thing. I just believe that if you ain't feeling pressure now, considering what's happened in previous seasons, then when will you feel pressure? Because, I mean, all of them want to get over the line and want to get this monkey off your back, if you like. And I believe that Arsenal will do it this year because of how strong their squad is.
How do you think Mikel Arteta quite literally manages the situation of this pressure cooker now within his squad?
Well, I think first and foremost, he's got experience in this area that before. A lot of the squad have got experience in this area where they have fallen away. I mean, a lot of critics have pointed the finger at Arsenal previously, and I believe maybe 3 years ago they can say that from where they kind of fell off a cliff a little bit towards the end. But Arsenal was still getting stick when I think it was either last season or season before where they won sort of like 8 or 9 games of their last 10 or 11. It's like, that's not a team that's fallen away. I believe if they do something similar this season, then I think they'll end up winning the league. But I believe Arteta will do similar to what he done, I think, when he spoke after they lost against Man United. And he just said, look, we need to gather our thoughts, make sure that we park that poor result against Man United. And they went to Leeds a few days later and absolutely spanked them. So I believe we'll get something similar from Arsenal.
And look, let's be completely honest. Manchester City are not really convincing anyone, are they, as well? And since the turn of the year, they have picked up exactly the same number of points as Arsenal in those 8 games. It's 13 from a possible 24. I mean, that's mid-table form. But come on, those guys would have been watching the game last night. Pep won't admit it, the City players won't admit it, but they would have been dancing around their living rooms thinking this is now a chance for us. And they will be thinking, will they not, Jody? This is Arsenal's. The heads have gone it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you need to be like spreading throughout that Man City dressing room. They'll be reminding themselves, saying, look, we've been in this position before, we've been behind Arsenal, and we've managed to get in front of them. But again, as I said, I believe that Arsenal have got enough in the tank to keep City at bay.
Yeah. Right, let's get to the fans, shall we? Because Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, our app, which of course discovers true fan opinion. And to have your say on your club, download the Finalysis app right now.
Finalysis has partnered with Sky Sports to empower fan opinion. On the Finalysis app, you share your player ratings, your manager ratings, and your opinions on everything to do with your club, so that Sky Sports can put fan opinion at the heart of their football coverage. Scan the QR code to download the Finalysis app.
And joining us live now is Jamie Kent, Arsenal fan. Jamie, good morning to you. There's a lot of heat, as I'm sure you're aware. I don't know what the phone's been saying overnight, coming your way. And, of course, the Arsenal supporters' way as well. Even people saying you've got to rename the dog Win at the training ground. Well, how are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, look, yesterday it was great for, an hour. And after that, I had no idea what happened. It's a performance in which you can't get away from it. Arteta said to yourself, take it on the chin. It was cowardly. It was pathetic at times. You've gone to a team with all due respect, might be the worst in Premier League history at this rate. And you've kind of gone 2-up and gone, that'll do. We've seen City, Liverpool go to these sort of games in the past and get 3, 4, 5, get goal difference up. And for some reason, we just set up differently and thought, yeah, that'll do. And you can't do it in the Premier League, even against a team like Wolves. And like Arteta said, take it on the chin. It's our fault. We've now got to respond. And what a game on Sunday to do it against Spurs. But before that, questions all around the club, for sure.
Do you feel that pressure inside? Just explain what's going on inside that body this morning, Jamie, because is it the same thing as what's happening inside the Arsenal players when you watch them?
For the first time all season, last night was one night I struggled to get to sleep. It was in my head. It was constant of, we're going to do it again. Is this going to happen? And look, what's getting me through it is the City aren't the City of old. Mm-hmm. They're still a great team, but they are not the team, Centurions or even the ones to get 90-plus points. That's the only thing right now that's keeping me somewhat calm, that we can still do this. And I do think we still do it. Maybe it's not as clear as we thought weeks ago, 6, 7 points. But I do think if we can go to the Etihad with at least a 4-point gap, I think we can see it through from there.
Jamie, do you think the game being Spurs is exactly what you need as a club to bounce back from this? I know it's obviously a derby and it's always going to be a tough fixture, but it's almost like if I was a player or a manager, this is the type of game that I would want, because you don't need any team talks to go in and face your North London rivals, do you?
100%. That's the one game of all the games of the season you think, right, okay, regardless where it is, the City Emirates or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you don't need any pre-match talk, you don't need anything. Just look at the fans, look at them at the stadium, look at them before the game. That's the one game, if you're wearing the cannon, you have to be up for. No exceptions at all.
There could be another side to that question that Jody asked. And Tottenham fans, I mean, does Igor Tudor even need a pre-match team talk? From a Spurs point of view, they say, look, you want to get some respect back on this football club's badge. Here's the North London derby at our place. They will have. They don't need motivation to dent your title race, do they?
No, they don't. Look, they need the points as well. They're not in a relegation scrap, but they're certainly in the bout situation. A few bad results could really turn them the wrong way. But like I said, Arsenal got league dreams, Spurs got relegation worries. For me, this year's chance to show your quality. We're a better team than them, better squad than them. They've got the injuries. Yes, they'll be a bit up for it, especially with a new manager. But this is the perfect time for Arteta to get the players in and go, look, you want to win it? You want to be history makers? Start now. Then you got Chelsea after that, which is another big game.
Yeah, you better get the points in now, Jamie, because obviously you ain't going to get that many points against us.
Jamie, come on, be honest, because this could be, right, and I'm winding you up a little bit here, but it could be a quadruple of second-place finishes in 4 years. Would this be, if that is to happen, the hardest of the bunch to take?
Oh, by a country mile. Country mile. The first year, we didn't expect to be there. Second year, we went toe-to-toe pretty much, end of the season. I think it was 11 wins in the last 13. Last year, we had a few injuries, and Liverpool were just better. This year, a complete and utter meltdown. Bottle, throwaway, whatever you want to call it, pathetic. Nothing short of that. And if we don't win it, come what may, the club needs to have a real think about what is it? Is it the players? Is it Arteta himself that can't get it over that line? If, saving grace, we somehow win Champions League, it's not replaced the Premier League at all, but it's definitely gone, okay, you've done that. Why can't you transfer that to domestic football and win the league as well? And a Carling Cup or Carabao Cup and FA Cup, that won't fix it if we don't win the league.
But there was, as there always is, and there was with Liverpool a couple of seasons ago, all this talk of, quadruples. And it's still on the cards, right? All 4 are still on the cards. But come on, tell me how many you think Arsenal are going to get over the line out of 4.
Look, a few weeks ago, media were saying it, and rightly so, we'll top the league by a few points, League Cup final, top the Champions League. Real chance. And I do still think we'd win a trophy this year. Which one is it? I couldn't tell you now. That game in Wembley in a few weeks, that's now huge. If City win that, and within smelling distance of us, they're going to smell blood, and they're going to really try to track us down. And have we got the bottle? You wouldn't say yes right now. So it's a big one, but I think we win something. And I'll still say hard. We win the Premier League. I'll stick to my guns. I've said it all season, but it won't be as clear cut as I was hoping it was going to be.
Jody, what are you saying? 0 to 4. What are you giving Arsenal?
Yeah, I'm giving them 2. I think they win one of the domestic cups, and I think they win the league. I agree. I think the Carabao Cup is going to be huge for both teams, both squads. I think us in the media or fans, however you want to call it, I think whoever wins that game, we're all going to put all our money and shove it in on the victor of the Carabao Cup. But I still believe there's going to be enough in the tank for Arsenal to get over the line in the Premier League. Purely, like, I think I agree with Jamie, and I know Will don't like to hear it, but this City is not the City of old.
Jamie makes a great point. I mean, you probably, as Arsenal fans, aren't that worried about City based on this season, but you're probably thinking more about the muscle memory that Pep Guardiola's got and getting it done, right?
Well, I think it's still Man City, it's still Pep Guardiola, it's still Haaland, it's still got world-class players. They haven't been performing this season, but they're still that close to us, and that says a lot about it as it is. We've been good in times, obviously, since January. You said it before, the form's the exact same, but they are definitely winning games a lot more easier than we do. Every game we win, bar maybe Leeds and Sunderland, bit of a struggle. We kind of just get over the line. They seem to, the Fulham game 3 weeks ago, 3-4 up at half time, that was them done. And we just don't seem to do that, which is really strange because our attack is really good, but we just can't. I don't know why we can't.
Jamie, what do you think about your defence? I know there was obviously a goal for the equaliser last night where it's like, Ray, has he called for it? As Gabriel, should he have moved out of the way? But considering how your defence started the league, I mean, where they are now, I mean, they seem to be conceding a lot more goals, don't they? What do you think? What's the reasons behind that?
Yeah, I mean, could it be nerves? I'm not sure. We started the season, like you said, so on fire, and there's been twice this season now. Ryan Gabriel have had that similar mistake away at Sunderland, last-minute equaliser, and obviously last night. And look, a goalkeeper, if he's coming for it, you've got to shout. We obviously don't know. We can only assume he did. As a defender, you've got to kind of either trust your goalkeeper or be the one to go, cool, I'm getting rid of this. I'm taking the initiative. But we're looking... Timber's looked a shade of himself recently. Ben White was on the bench last night. I don't know why he didn't come on. Nketiah has been looking better. Calafiori is usually the starter, but even Saliba, we saw it the last few weeks, a big striker against him. He's looking a bit fragile and a bit not himself. And we're used to seeing this almost world-class centre-back for the last few years. He's now... Is he getting a bit scared? Is Gabriel getting jittery? It's so weird to see these two, especially the jittery ones. They've been so calm, so... I just hope Gabriel Heinz is having a word of him the next few days.
Jamie, you're sounding jittery. I can sense it.
No, as like I said, I still think we win the league, but muscle memory's there. We've done it before. We've fallen away at the last hurdle, and I don't know. It does all kind of hinge on that Carabao Cup. If we can win that, I think, like you said, we follow through. It's just if we, same as last year, get a Turf Champions League draw, maybe we get City in the semi-finals of the FA Cup as well. All of a sudden, you've got your whole season down to 2-3 weeks of football, which is not what you want. That's a lot of pressure, and clearly they can't deal with it.
Jamie, I just wonder how much the psychology comes into play here as well, because you guys have been top of the Premier League since, I think it's match week 7, right? Manchester City haven't been top since the first game when they beat Wolves, and that doesn't count after one game, does it? So the fact that, and it's not a fact, but if you were to not win the North London derby, right, and you would just say to take a point in Igor Tudor's first game, away from home, by the way, and Manchester City beat Newcastle and then go and beat Leeds because they played before you, City could be top before your next game after the North London derby. And then you build up towards that League Cup final at Wembley and then the big meeting in the Premier League at the Etihad on the 18th of April. Psychology's huge, isn't it, when it comes to run-ins?
Massive. And last night was massive because we had won the game. We'd have always been in front of them due to our game in hand against Palace not being put into a week yet. So that was a huge chance for us to really go, cool, we're going to be in charge. We're in front, you catch us. And now, if the second we drop a point, whether it be against Spurs on Sunday or Chelsea next week, they're going to be there. I fully expect them to, even though they've not been that good this year fully, I still expect City to win most games. Even watch them, they do let in chances. They've got the players to kind of counteract at the other side. So it's a big chance now, and they play, like I said before, us most of the time. But I just keep going back to that game against Spurs. You cannot ask for a better game as managers, as players, as fans to go, right, okay, you want to do it? Prove to the fans you want to do it. Because after last night, there's a lot of doubt in the fan base.
And with everything that's been said over the last 10 minutes, Jamie, where do you sit then now? Bearing in mind there'll be a lot of Arsenal fans watching, hanging on the air every word here, ready to come for you. Where do you sit with Mikel Arteta's future if he doesn't get the Premier League over the line?
Doesn't win the Premier League, I don't think he'll be sacked, but I can see a world in which he walks himself. He's that sort of man. He goes, if I can't do this here, maybe I can't do it. And look, if he wins the Champions League, then it's a different question. But the Premier League and nothing else, not sacked, but definitely he'll look himself in the mirror and go, am I the man for this? And
Jody?
If he's here come July,
we can tell you're a City fan, Will. I can't believe you've asked that question. I can't believe you've asked that question.
Just a question, just asking.
No, he's got to stay. He's done a great job.
Got to stay. So yeah. 0 trophies, got to stay. You'd be in that camp, Jody. Yes.
Yeah. If he's unlucky in all 4 trophies, I would stick with him.
Unlucky in all 4 trophies? What? So you lose the League Cup final against City. Champions League's a lottery, Jamie, isn't it? I mean, look how many great teams don't win the Champions League. And the FA Cup is a bit of a lottery in terms of the draw that you could get, right? So, I mean, actually, the one that you thought that was the given was the one we're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. The one a few weeks ago, you'd go, cool, Premier League's kind of not done, but that's in the back burner now.
Yeah.
Can we do the Carabao Cup? Can we do the FA Cup and Champions League? And now it's going, oh, can we do the Premier League? Oh, okay, what about just the FA Cup? And just the FA Cup and Carabao Cup will not do for this season. It has to be one of the big 2.
Jamie, let's just finish. Are we going to the final day, Premier League? Palace, you've got City, got Villa at home?
No, because I'm going to the last home game of the season. I want to see the trophy lift then, so we're going to win it on the last home game.
Which is Burnley, I think, isn't it? Yeah, we're going to see Jody's draw up of how these title points pan out a little bit later on Fan Club. Jamie, good call, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Right, next up, it is the North London Derby, and it's on Sunday. The stakes have rarely been higher for both clubs. You can see it live from 4 p.m. on Sky.
60 years of her, of course. We're joined by former England manager Sam Allardyce. Look, first of all, what have you made of the job that Tuchel's done?
Oh, well, it's like everything else. We can get through the preliminary rounds, no problem at all. I mean, undefeated and a little hiccup in the beginning, but then we saw an improvement as time went on. And then we saw Thomas Tuchel not bowing to any player's belief that they should be selected or substituted, which is a real strong position to put yourself in. And he's not frightened of upsetting the player. Clear that he doesn't particularly think he's either playing that well or doing the job or warrants a selection. So everybody's got that little bit more, I need to prove myself that bit more perhaps. And whether that works or not in the end, I mean, obviously he's a hugely experienced manager. He's had massive football clubs. If 2026 rhymes with 66...
I see your brain ticking here.
Bit of an omen, like you mean, who knows, fate might play a part, but certainly got the strength and depth of the squad. The research for me into coping with the heat, the dehydration levels and the fatigue levels that come with playing in humidity and the drain it has on the body is massive on the sports science side. So you have to get that spot on, making sure that all players are fully ready to go and dehydrate and hydrated and continue just there. Otherwise, they will end up cramping up and not performing towards the latter end of the game, and maybe using the squad a little bit more than he'd want to because of that. So the strength and depth of the squad, I think, is there anyway. I think the strength and depth of the squad is as good as anybody's, and if he utilises it because of the heat and because of the dehydration factor, it may play a big part in substitutions in and the difference between winning and losing, or winning and drawing.
Yeah, you mentioned Tuchel was not afraid to stand his ground. I mean, one of the most high-profile decisions was obviously when he dropped Jude Bellingham. What was your verdict on how that situation played out? It's a bold move and a statement.
It's setting the ground rules. If you take the biggest guy at that particular time out of the equation, then the rest follow and go, you know, might be me next time. I better knuckle down and listen to what the coach is saying and what the coach is doing. So the reaction then on Jude Bellingham, whether he thinks he deserved it or not, will determine on whether he gets selected or not. So one would expect to Jude Bellingham to come back and say, I'll show you. Don't you think about doing this again. Or if he doesn't, the likelihood is that he won't get selected as often as he may think he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, look, just talking of Bellingham, Tuchel's got a lot of options as England's number 10 for the World Cup. Bellingham, Foden, Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer, all options there. How would you set up?
I mean, in form at the moment has to be Morgan Rogers. Really in form. I think that, and scoring goals, which is what you want in that position, as well as assists. So there's a big challenge in those positions. You go, one of the weaker areas, unfortunately, is up front. That's really, really strong, which makes it difficult for all those players. And what you can't do, like other coaches have done, is try to squeeze them into another position that they're not as comfortable in, because they'll get criticised for not performing as well as they do at the club level. So that's a particular problem. But certainly up front, Harry's years are ticking away. We're still scoring in Germany. I think that next in line is it's not easy saying this is World Cup. This is somewhere where you need to be right on top of your game and have a specific talent to change a game in your favour.
How do you rate England's chances of winning it?
They'll win it if they get the best defensive record in the tournament. That will get them to the final. Whether that will get them to win it or not, I don't know.
Take almost 3 weeks for UEFA's disciplinary body to make a ruling on allegations that Vinicius Junior was subjected to racist abuse during Real Madrid's Champions League match against Benfica. It is understood that UEFA's ethics and disciplinary investigator will take time to interview the relevant parties before putting together a report for the disciplinary body, who will make a decision over any further punishment should they see fit. There is no official timescale on investigations. Real Madrid have today released this statement. Real Madrid has actively collaborated with the investigation opened by UEFA after the unacceptable episodes of racism experienced during that match. Real Madrid appreciates the unanimous endorsement, support and affection that our player Vinicius Junior has received from all areas of world football. Real Madrid will continue to work in collaboration with all institutions to eradicate racism, violence and hatred in sport and society. Well, it's a story where the ramifications are being felt far beyond Real Madrid and Benfica. For more on this now, we can head to Liverpool's training ground and join Vinny O'Connor. Afternoon to you, Vinny. Was this issue top of the agenda for Arne Slot then?
It was. It's difficult for Arne Slot in a situation like this to say too much as well, with that UEFA investigation now open. But clearly there was support for Vinicius Junior given what he's faced over in Lisbon the other night. And on top of that, of course, it would have been remiss not to ask him what message Arne Slot gives to his players were they to face such a similar situation, or indeed whether enough is being done to combat racism in football. And this is what Arne Slot had to say.
Yeah, I think in general you can never do enough. You can always do more, and we should always try to do more make sure this never happens again. And that's what I mean in general. I think we have to try as a world football community to do more than society does. That's maybe not so difficult, by the way, but and I think protocol has been followed during the game, so that's the first step. And now, and I think the football world reacted as you expected to react, and I'm trying to do the same now. We can never do enough or too much. We can do enough, but we can never do too much. No.
Evening, everyone. Question, raise your hand and we'll come to you. Look at Sam from the Telegraph. Kick off, Sam.
Well, extremely disappointed, obviously, with the result, with the way the game ended. But we have to blame ourselves. I think the performance in the second half didn't show anything close to the standards that are required in this league to win, and with the margins that I think should have existed today, especially in the manner that we played the first half. So it's a moment of disappointment. We all want to talk a lot about how we're feeling. It's not the moment to do that, because anything that we do has to be always and only with the intention to help the team. And right now, I think we have to swallow that frustration. When you are at this level and at the top, you need to take the hits, because today we deserve them as well, and move on as quick as possible, because on Sunday we have a big game coming up.
In that second half, we could see you gesturing to the players to calm down, keep the ball. How do you explain that inability to do that? What happened?
It was one after the other, to be fair. So it was a moment after another moment after another moment. So even though we scored the second goal, we never got gripped and dominance of the game. That's the reality. And that's some credit, obviously, to Wolf. I don't want to underestimate that, but I think we played a big part on that. And as I said, there are very basic things, very simple things that today we did really wrong. And that's why we had the feeling, obviously, without really conceding much. But the moment is always the game open to anything that can happen.
John from Mirror.
Mikel, does it raise question marks about the mentality within the team? Because out there tonight, it looked as if they were struggling under the pressure, under the expectation. You know, you're out there to go 7 points clear.
I think any question, any criticize, any opinion, you have to take it on the chin today. I think that's it. Any hit, any bullet, take it, because we didn't perform at the level that is required. So anything that anybody says can be right, because we didn't do what we had to do, and the way to do it is on that pitch on Sunday in a great opportunity that we had.
Are they strong enough to do that? Are they strong enough to come back?
We always done it, but you are as strong as to show it the next time you do it. To talk and say it here, it's simple, and we have to do it on the pitch.
Tom, Reach.
Mikel, naturally there's going to be loads of hurt, around the players and yourself, and I'm sure the fans as well are going to be really. That word doubt is going to start to creep into their minds. What can you say to them to encourage them to keep that belief in the fact that it's going to be okay?
Well, the more they can be with the players, and I'm going to be the first one to be very close to them, because this is nothing to do with attitude or desire. It's completely the opposite. It's part of football. What it could have gone wrong today, it went wrong, because when you look the way we conceded the 2 goals as well, without really considering any other situations, is very rare. But it happened, and it happened for a reason, and we need to react to that. Hi.
Just on the phrase you mentioned about things happening again and again, one moment after the other, that, I guess, emotional management of the game, is that something you see as being able to be fixed quite quickly, or?
Yes, but if I ask them what we'll have to do now, what the game requires, they know it, but we weren't able to do it throughout the game, and it was in various sequences and a lot of times as well. So that's what we have to do better. But we didn't do it, and that's a reality.
Okay, we'll do the last couple. Hamza from the Times.
Rob Edwards mentioned that he knew and his team knew that the pressure would be on you guys. How do you feel knowing that other teams are trying to use that to weaponise against you?
Well, I mean, that's an obvious thing, no? If you are at the top and you have to win, you have to win and win and win. So that's nothing new. Everything will be like this from the first game when they play Arsenal.
Okay, finally one yet.
I imagine a painful result. We saw a few frustrated players towards the end of the game as well. How do you pick up your players now and lift that morale going into what is such a big game on Sunday, but also the final 11 games of the season?
I think we need to go through the pain, and you need to go through that, looking in the mirror and understanding that what the game requires now and the next action is on Sunday. That's it. Anything that we say from here to there, it's fine. But we need to keep all that in our tummies to show it on Sunday. That's what we have to do.
Okay, thanks everyone. Good night.
Yeah, thank you.
So okay.
Yeah.
Newcastle United 6, Anthony Gordon with 4 first-half goals, Thiaw with 1 in the first half as well, Jacob Murphy in the second half, cancelling out the effort from Karabag. Luke Chambers watching it for us. How impressive was this tonight?
All the work was done in the first half an hour of the game, really. They were 3-0 up. I think it was just a perfect away performance, and at such a level at the end of the day, there's a lot of pressure in the Champions League. They're desperate to get through, but to put this performance together at this time, and the first half being 5-0 up at half-time was an absolute dream. The only blemish I would say on the performance was after Anthony Gordon had got his hat-trick with his first penalty, then gets the opportunity from another penalty. I think there's a few words exchanged with him and Trippier, and as they're walking off from half-time, they're all 5-0 up, but they're still having
what was it about,
a few cross words. I think maybe Trippier, as the captain's just mentioning, maybe give someone else the opportunity to score another goal, but
yeah,
this man knows more than I do. Goal scorers, they love getting as many as they possibly can, and credit to Gordon. He steps up, buries the next penalty, and he's walked off with 4 goals this evening.
How good was Gordon tonight then, with the 4 goals, but throughout the match?
Well, they've had 24 shots tonight, 16 on target. In the first half, it could have been 7 or 8, and I think there wouldn't be any eyebrows raised. And Gordon had 2 or 3 opportunities where he was clean through on goal, and opportunities where he's not just took those chances that probably you would expect him to. They were that probably glaring, but he didn't let it affect him, which was key. And we spoke about it before the game. I think Newcastle have probably lacked what they lost in losing Isak to Liverpool, that pace on the break and in behind, and those through balls and the counter-attacks that they executed so well under Eddie Howe. And I think they've really found that balance with him playing there tonight, and it was through the middle mainly where he was causing the problems.
And with that balance, how does that work with Voltemada? Because people look at him and think he's 6'6", but actually he likes to play a little bit deeper, doesn't he? And then Gordon beyond him with Elanga there as well? Exactly
that, and I think he started the season as the main focal point. He was scoring lots of goals from crosses and stuff like that, but I think his main game, like you say, is coming and linking play. And certainly tonight he was playing as a number 10, but also as a midfielder, number 8, breaking into the box a bit later, creating chances, obviously setting the likes of Elanga and Barnes off, as well as Gordon through the middle. So it's certainly decent front 4 tonight that really looked like it had finally found maybe that balance that probably Eddie Howe and his team have struggled with in the previous sort of 6 or 7 weeks.
You mentioned Eddie Howe. It's now 3 wins on the spin after a difficult spell. Beat Spurs in the Premier League, beat in the FA Cup Aston Villa down to 10 we know, but an epic win tonight. Is he sort of responded to any critics that might be coming up?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone involved in Newcastle as a fan, and even the players and the staff themselves, they'll know that this season hasn't been the one that they felt they maybe would want and expected to kick on after winning a trophy. And I think they've just had to bide their time a little bit. Yes, certain questions are being asked because they're definitely not at the level in terms of points-wise, especially in the Premier League. But look now, like you say, they've won the last 3. Fantastic position now in the Champions League with an unbelievable away performance. Really, really ruthless, and I think he's got that team playing. I know they've lost Bruno Guimaraes, but Joel Linton is back, which is going to be massive for them in that midfield area. And if they're finding that position for Voltemada as well, it certainly gives them those options going into the final weeks of the season.
We knew this was an extra couple of games and a 2,500-mile trip to Azerbaijan as well. But how big is it now in terms of just taking the foot off the gas a little bit? Manchester City in the Premier League at the weekend. Can they put more into that perhaps than they could otherwise if this was still in the balance?
Oh, absolutely. I think they can really try and get this group of players, and probably the starting 11, to really try and go again. Yes, the travelling will certainly take it out of them, but they'll be really excited to maybe go again with the way they've played tonight and the setup that Eddie Howe's put together. So I think they'll be relishing that opportunity, because come the second leg, bearing a massive disaster, they will be through to the next round of the Champions League.
Yeah, what a night for them. Anthony Gordon, all-time Champions League scorer, now surpassing the great Alan Shearer in the Champions League for Newcastle. What do you think they can achieve from here? Do you get a feeling that maybe the Champions League could be a good opportunity for them?
I think Newcastle, when they're on form, they're a match for anyone. I think we know that, and having won the cup that they did last season, I think they don't really have a way of playing where they want to dominate possession. They allow teams, and they have certain way where they sit off and they'd like to hit you on the break. And when you've got the likes of Elanga, Barnes, Gordon on the break with that pace and with the quality they have in midfield behind them. And when those opportunities come around, they generally take them. And I think in a knockout competition, there's no way that they can't go quite a way in this. And I think this will certainly send out, look, we're not messing around this season. We're still trying to emulate what we've done in the past and not let the Premier League season derail us too much.
Yeah.
It's in life where it feels like they could be defining. Next sort of few weeks, months of yours feel pretty big, don't they, right now? And I'm not just talking a quadruple as a possibility, but also a dad. So you must be waking up every single day and just thinking, wow, life's pretty good now.
Yeah, I think obviously that with becoming a dad in the next few weeks is incredible. We can't wait. But of course, in terms of football, is everything is open. We cannot think too much about it. We just have to be focused on ourselves and go day by day, training by training, game by game, which is the most important thing. Because if you think too far, you're not going to see it. So just go in the present.
I know that you do live in that sort of bubble, don't you?
Yeah.
But there must have been moments over the last maybe few weeks where you've had that sort of half a second and thought, gosh, I've really come a long way. I'm really proud of where I am right now.
Yeah,
in kind of life generally.
Personally, obviously, when it comes to Jan, every year I think the same, because it's 1 year more that I've been since I moved here, and it's been 14 years already. Yeah. And I always try to reflect on that moment. I try to reflect how far I've come, how hard it's been to be where I am. But the main thing is how proud I am to be here, to be the way and where I am. So it's just, it all goes down to hard work and knowing what I wanted to do in life, and of course I just want to appreciate those moments and those times.
And you will be part of a growing club here of dads with very young children. There's obviously something in the water, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a few of you I know. What's the best bit of advice you've been given so far about it?
Right now, sleep for as long as you can before it comes. So trying to adapt, trying to twist a little bit my sleep at the moment, just to see how I feel, and I'm feeling great. I've been trying to wake up a little bit earlier every morning to try to adapt my body, but I know it's going to hit different when the baby comes. So, but hopefully it won't be as hard as what people say, but I know it will be. So, no,
I'll
really
this conversation in about 2 months' time.
No, but I just can't wait. We just can't wait. I can't wait to. It's the first one, so looking forward to it.
And it gives you a bit of perspective on, I guess, football and life, and just occasionally, even in your bubble, it's quite nice to have that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to obviously to be creating a family with my wife and having those moments together and creating a little creature together.
And how lovely that as a group of players, you've clearly got quite a close bond and you've been through similar things at the same time. It must help you in your kind of day-to-day and being a kind of brotherhood, if you like, having a bit of a bond together.
Yeah, the whole squad's bond together. We are literally like friends and teammates at the same time, so it makes it so easy for everyone and for everything in life, not just on football, it's just outside as well. Like you can go with whoever you want to go to do some other stuff outside of football. So I think that's a really key thing that we have in our dressing room.
Is this the closest kind of dressing room you've ever been a part of? Because that Brentford team was very special with what you did there, and obviously your first taste of first team football. Blackburn is different again, but how does this kind of compare?
I've been lucky to have really good dressing rooms. The dressing room I had at Blackburn was incredible, and at Brentford as well, but I think this one is a different, especially having that many nationalities and the way we interact to each other. It's not like groups or anything like this. Obviously you maybe I speak more maybe with the Spanish speakers and stuff like this, but you get along with everybody, and it's something special to have it this way. And I think it's credit to the boss and credit to the staff to create this culture of the club that we all get along, not even just with the players, the staff as well. It's all involved, so it's really, really important, and it's a key thing.
Do you think part of it as well is that you know that you are on the verge of doing something very, very special here,
yeah,
which hasn't been done for a long, long time?
I think having those goals together, and how good it could be if we made this a historical season, it'll be incredible. That's why we play football. That's why we play for Arsenal. That's why everybody comes here to win trophies, to make something special, and to make the fans happy and the club happy. So that is something that is really, really important for us. And like I said, that's why we play for Arsenal.
You had a little spectator job yesterday, didn't you, at the stadium, watching the team. How good was it to have a game like that, just to maybe get that Brentford result and performance out of the system?
Yeah, it was. I think as well for players that haven't played that much, and players coming from injury like Bukayo, having those minutes, and the way we play, the way we showed that we are here to win, no matter who you are. It just gives us that extra motivation, extra confidence to everyone, and especially for players that haven't been playing that much, to get those minutes to be ready for when they are called upon. Like the boss says, is credit to everyone, that players that have not been playing and performing at that level yesterday is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the two performances, we'll come on to your maybe young protege keeper that got a little bit of a taste in a minute, but someone like Eza, who's had a bit of criticism, hasn't he, and what he did, particularly in that first half yesterday, those assists were something a bit special. But he seemed himself to have that confidence, and that's what you're going to need if you're going to see this thing through to the end.
I think confidence is the most important thing in this sport, and confidence and enjoyment. I think for me, is the most important thing to be a footballer. You have to be confident and you have to enjoy, because if you don't enjoy, you're not going to be yourself. You're not going to be able to help the team the way if you are enjoying the football. So I think that confidence is going to be key for us to have that confidence. Everyone needs to be confident to know what they're doing, and the main thing is enjoy the process. Don't think too much ahead, and just enjoy the moment of now.
Well, despite the 4 goals yesterday, I think Tommy Setford might have had the biggest cheer of the day when he came on 87 minutes. Did you feel a bit like a proud father? Because you've obviously seen him go through the process here and have the opportunity, and also to know how hard you have to work to get that first.
Yeah, I think so. I think I was literally going down to the tunnel from the stands, and I saw him coming on. I said, just give me 5 minutes, let me see this. And I was so happy when he came on, and he didn't even look nervous. He just looked like he was ready. And then the first ball is just a cross into the box, and he just comes and claims it. So I was very, very proud of him, very, very happy. And people don't realise how hard he works every single day out there to help us. And I've been in that situation at his age, not at this level, in a lower level, obviously with Blackburn, but it's how important it is to feel part of the squad when you're third choice and you don't get that reward of like training the whole week, doing the warm-ups, and in the end you are in the stands. I know he's playing for the 21s, but it's not what he would like to do. So I was very, very happy for him.
Yeah, it's a big week again. Wolves, I mean, you've got an idea of what awaits you, because they made you work very hard. And 94th minute own goal. They really shut up shop, didn't they? Now's the time to unlock that sort of attacking flair that we saw yesterday, sort of bottle it up and go again.
Hopefully we can replicate what we did yesterday on Wednesday. We know it's going to be a tough task. They made it very, very difficult for us at the Emirates, so we need to learn from that game. A lot of things to learn from there, but I think we are a different team now than where we were back then. So hopefully we can do the right things and get the 3 points, but we know how hard it's going to be.
And just finally, because it is Wolves and then the North London derby, isn't it? And I was at the first game and it was sensational. And that's part of this ride, isn't it? For all the highs, the lows and the highs again. And Arteta said, you know, get in the boat, like enjoy every second. I mean, it feels at times it's quite pressurised to be able to do that, but you're obviously one of those in the squad that can shut out that noise and just not play within yourself and with the fear of what might not happen given the last few years, as opposed to what could happen.
If you play with that fear, you cannot play football. Because, like I said before, you're not going to enjoy the moment. You're not going to enjoy being on the grass. And we know how important it is to the North London derby for the club and for the fans. So hopefully we can do our things, play the way we know what we can play and what we can do, and hopefully replicate what we did at the Emirates at their place on Sunday. But it's going to be a tough task, as it is every game in this league is so difficult and so competitive. That is gonna, like you said, is a little bit of a roller coaster every season. So hopefully we can get the 3 points, and that's the main thing.
Brilliant, perfect, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Benfica, which was suspended for 10 minutes after Vinicius Junior accused Gianluca Prestiani of a racist slur. The game was suspended for 10 minutes. Trent Alexander-Arnold called the incident a disgrace to football. Vinicius Junior gave Real Madrid the lead with a fantastic strike before celebrating by the corner flag, where he was targeted by objects thrown from the home crowd. Before play restarted, Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani covered his mouth and said something to Vinicius Junior, which caused the Brazilian to react immediately and report the comments to the referee, Francois Letexier, who subsequently halted play. Well, this is what Vinicius Junior posted on social media. Racists are, above all, cowards. They need to put their shirts over their mouths to demonstrate how weak they are. But they have, on their side, the protection of others who, theoretically, have the obligation to punish. Nothing that happened here today was new in my life and my family's. I received a yellow card for celebrating a goal. I still don't understand why. On the other hand, just a poorly executed protocol that served no purpose. I don't like appearing in situations like this, even more so after a great victory and when the headlines have to be about Real Madrid, but it's necessary. Prestiani has denied making a racist comment. Jose Mourinho has been criticised for his response to the incident. He claimed Benfica could not be a racist club because club legend Eusebio was black. Mourinho, who was sent off later in the game for a separate incident, questioned Vinicius Junior's celebration.
Pero he querido ser equilibrado e decir que neste mundo del fútbol y en las cosas que pasan en la cancha, yo intento ser sempre pouco mais equilibrado e não quero dizer Vinicius é mentiroso e Prestiani é chico incrível.
Right, OK, Jamie O'Hara is with us. Good morning to you, Jamie, and to James Savundra, who is on set as well. Jamie, first of all, how distressing was it to see scenes like this last night?
Yeah, again, obviously, I was watching the game and really upsetting that we're living in a modern era and we're still having to deal with this situation. Completely cowardly from Prestiani. Obviously, he has said something to Vinicius Junior, and the abuse that Vinicius Junior got, you know, after the incident as well was just disgusting. It really was. Things being thrown at him, getting booed by everyone in the crowd, and all he's done is highlight someone who's racially abused him. Yeah, so disappointing. So disappointing. And, yeah, it's just in this day and age, I can't believe we're still having these conversations.
Yeah, Prestiani, of course, denying these allegations. But Jose Mourinho has been criticised for his response. Yeah. He said, something happens in every stadium that Vinicius Junior plays in. What do you make of those comments?
I think, I have to be honest, this is what's really wound me up. I think it's disgusting what Jose Mourinho has come out and said. His comments are disgraceful. They really are. He's had a go at him for celebrating a goal. I mean, he scored a worldie, you know, a fantastic goal, which we should all be talking about, and he goes and celebrates. He doesn't antagonise anyone, by the way. His celebration is absolutely fine. He goes over, he celebrates, he enjoys his moment, and that's it. He gets booked by the referee for celebrating, which, in my opinion, is disgraceful as well. And then he gets abused. And he has to then go to the referee and say, I've been abused. For Jose Mourinho to come out and almost, say that he brings it upon himself, I think it's outrageous. I think it's totally unfair. Vinicius Junior comes under criticism all the time because he's the one getting racially abused. So you can't say that he brings it upon himself or, it's always when Vinicius Junior's on a football pitch. Well, it's because he's the one getting targeted. And I think his comments in reflection, I think he will regret them. I think he's made a massive mistake. And I think he's bang out of order to question Vinicius Junior for celebrating a brilliant goal that he's entitled to do.
Jose Mourinho actually has antagonised crowds before, not faced racial abuse, alleged racist abuse.
He's so contradicting, right? How can he sit there, Jose Mourinho, and tell him about scoring a goal and being respectful when Jose Mourinho is one of the managers in world football that when you big moments and big goals, Jose Mourinho runs on the pitch. I've seen him run down the line shushing the fans. So don't tell me he can sit there with a straight face and say, yeah, you shouldn't do that. He should be respectful. What are you on about? Well, we're going to stop players celebrating amazing goals in the Champions League in a massive game. Come on. Vinicius Junior didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion. The celebration was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with it. The referee was out of order, in my opinion, for even booking him, which caused even more of a problem. But Jose Mourinho's comments, I think, are bang out of order.
Yeah, even if he did antagonise the crowd, you don't deserve racist abuse. Vinicius Junior, James, has been targeted before. Now, he was critical, wasn't he, of UEFA's protocol. What is the protocol?
Well, yesterday we saw the no racism gesture, which the referee did immediately after his conversation with Vinicius Junior, which is something that fans may not have seen a huge amount because it's something which only came in 2024. And that no racism gesture, when the referee crosses his arms, is designed to empower players, referees and officials to try and eradicate racism from the game and make a stand against racism. And as soon as the referee makes that gesture, it triggers what is a 3-point protocol when it comes to anti-racism. And this gives the powers to the referee to ultimately, if you reach step 3, to abandon the game. That is the last resort. But in terms of what we saw yesterday, number 1 is to stop the match, which he decided to do. Then the step 2 comes into play if the match resumes and an incident still occurs when it comes to racist abuse. And then if the third time, if the match they come and resume the match for a second time, if there's a second restart and the incident still occurs, then the referee is in a position where, following consultation with the officials, they can decide to abandon the match. In terms of this current incident, it's under investigation from UEFA. They're reviewing reports following the match. But I think it's worth pointing out the number of times this has happened to Vinicius Junior. Largely in Spain, it's happened at around a dozen stadiums, different stadiums in Spain, that Vinicius Junior have received this type of abuse. Of course, yesterday this happened in Portugal. Since joining Real in 2018, it's been a reoccurring theme for Vinicius Junior. So much so that in 2023, the Vinicius Junior rule, the law, was actually brought into force in Brazil to prevent racist abuse at sporting events in Brazil. And it has reached the point whereby in recent years, Vinicius Junior has spoken about things and said that he feels less and less like playing because of the number of incidents. And actually, ESPN a couple of years ago looked at a timeline of all the different events. This is 2 years ago. There were 16 separate incidents that he's faced. And, of course, since then, there's been incidents where fans have been sent to jail in Valencia. And last year, there was a landmark ruling in Spain whereby they identified racist abuse in stadiums being a hate crime, which was seen as a landmark ruling in Spain. So this is something, unfortunately, for Vinicius Junior. It's shocking the number of incidents that have occurred. But again, he's becoming so used to accepting it and having it faced with him on a football pitch. But fortunately, he's using his voice to try and eradicate racism from the game, which I think at this point in his career, he probably feels like there's no end in sight for racism in the game.
Just on the incident last night, with the protocol, with him then, going to the referee and then a referee going off. He goes and sits down, Vinicius Junior. He goes and walks off the pitch. But I'd like to know what the protocol was properly with the investigation, because they made him come back on the pitch. The protocol in the end was irrelevant. It was just a mess. Everyone was arguing, everyone was rowing. Vinicius Junior's talking to Jose Mourinho. The referee loses grip of the whole incident. And in the end, Vinicius Junior has to walk back onto the pitch and just carry on playing like nothing's happened, to a barrage of abuse, which is 10 times worse than what he had when he pointed out the incident that occurred. That he was having things thrown at him. I think he had a vape thrown at him. What's the protocol there then? Because the referee, we're talking about a 3-step protocol. Where's the protection for Vinicius Junior? What if someone genuinely throws something at him that could knock him out, or actually genuinely hurt the guy? I see a full bottle of water thrown at him. The referee there, in my opinion, he is getting abused after that incident continually by the Benfica fans, and he's getting things thrown at him. Call the game off. Call the game off.
I think the issue is that UEFA and officials are always going to want to try and fulfil a fixture as long as they can.
That's the problem.
That will always be, and they'll only reach that step 3, and that will follow consultation with other officials. If they feel like that is the last resort, then they will abandon the game. So the referee does have the power to abandon the game, but clearly that is the last resort, because not fulfilling the fixture and the issues that entails as well. Clearly there's a huge amount that needs to be done still, and for Vinicius Junior, the player who actually receives that racist abuse, there perhaps isn't protection around them at that time, because clearly the best situation would probably be for Vinicius Junior to have some time away from the pitch, and then once the whole thing had been completely resolved, they then be in a position to play the match and continue the match. But clearly, a lot of the protocols are based on racist abuse in the stands. It's not often you're in a situation where a player is racially abused by a fellow player, and that's perhaps where they need to do some work.
Prestiani, we know, has denied making a racist comment, but he did cover his mouth before he said anything. Now, Clarence Seedorf and Joe Cole, quite interestingly, post-match, they were working on the game. And they were talking about players covering their mouths when they speak and saying they should ban it. Now, I must admit, I think that would be quite difficult to do.
Yeah.
But do you like the idea of it in principle?
Yeah.
And how difficult would it be to enforce? You see it, by the way, players do it all the time.
Yeah.
They cover with their shirts or with their hands so that people can't see what they're saying. Managers do it. And in fairness, referees now do it as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of the idea...
I mean, the idea in principle
it would help in this situation.
Yeah, of course it would help in this situation, but this situation is, so difficult to deal with, because it's something that you don't, as you said, you don't see it a lot, right? There's only a few incidents where you see a player abusing another player racially. The idea in principle, of course, but how do you implement that rule? You're trying to stop people putting a hand over their mouth, or, putting the shirts up over them. We see them, players talk about tactics, they'll talk about a set piece, free kicks. They could be talking about anything during a game, like where they don't want the other player to hear or lip read. I think it's a very difficult, rule to implement that, to try and ban that problem. So, obviously, after games, there's cameras everywhere, players want to have conversations, maybe about the game or whatever, so they speak amongst themselves. I find that would be too much and too difficult to implement. I just hope that they come to the conclusion that even if the fact that Prestiani has denied it, the reaction from Vinicius Junior, the way that Prestiani's put his shirt over his mouth and has said something, he has said something to Vinicius Junior. Vinicius Junior's got absolutely no reason to lie about what he's heard and what has been said. So I hope, regardless of them not being able to, clarify 100% what he said, that this Prestiani gets a big ban and a proper ban.
I should just say that Trent Alexander-Arnold had his say. We talked about it earlier. I'll just tell you exactly what he said. He said, I can't comment too much as there's probably an investigation ongoing. What's happened tonight is a disgrace to football. It's overshadowed the performance, especially after such an amazing goal. Vinny has been subjected to this a few times throughout his career. There's no place for it in football or society. It's disgusting. And this morning, by the way, UEFA released this statement. The official reports from the matches played last night are currently being reviewed. Where matters are reported, proceedings are opened, and should they lead to disciplinary sanctions being imposed, they are announced on the UEFA disciplinary website. We have no further information to provide you or any further comment to make on this matter at this stage.
Disgrace to football by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Real Madrid's Champions League win over Benfica was suspended for 10 minutes after Vinicius Junior accused Gianluca Prestiani of racism. The Real Madrid forward has criticised UEFA's protocols and labelled racists as cowards. Well, Vinicius Junior gave Real Madrid the lead with a fantastic strike before celebrating by the corner flag, where he was targeted by objects thrown from the home crowd. Before play restarted, Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani covered his mouth and said something to Vinicius, which caused the Brazilian to react immediately and report the comments to referee François Letexier, who subsequently halted play. Well, this is what Vinicius Junior posted on social media. Racists are, above all, cowards. They need to put their shirts over their mouths to demonstrate how weak they are. But they have, on their side, the protection of others who, theoretically, have the obligation to punish. Nothing that happened here today was new in my life and my family's. I received a yellow card for celebrating a goal. I still don't understand why. On the other hand, just a poorly executed protocol that served no purpose. I don't like appearing in situations like this, even more so after a great victory and when the headlines have to be about Real Madrid, but it's unnecessary. And this is Prestiani's response. I want to clarify that at no time did I direct racist insults to player Vinicius Junior, who regrettably misunderstood what he thought he heard. I was never racist with anyone, and I regret the threats I received from Real Madrid players. Meanwhile, Benfica's official channels have claimed the stadium was too noisy for Real Madrid players to accurately hear what was said. Jose Mourinho has been criticised for his response to the incident. He claimed Benfica could not be a racist club because club legend Eusebio was black. Mourinho, who was sent off later in the game for a separate incident, questioned Vinicius Junior's celebration and insisted Prestiani was, quote, a great lad.
Y he querido ser más equilibrado y más independiente que Álvaro y Kylian. Eu he hablado con Vinicius, Vinicius me diz una cosa, eu he hablado con Prestiani, Prestiani me diz una otra cosa. Eu poderia ser rojo e dizer solo creo en quello que me ha dicho Prestiani, pero he querido ser equilibrado y decir que en este mundo del fútbol y en las cosas que pasan en la cancha, yo intento ser siempre un poco más equilibrado y no quiero decir Vinicius es un mentiroso y Prestiani es un chico increíble.
Tenéis que preguntarle al jugador del Benfica qué le ha dicho a Vinicius. Yo creo que todos aquí, todos en el mundo del fútbol merecemos que responda a esa pregunta y es todo lo que puedo decir, ¿no? Evidentemente, creo que está claro que la tolerancia con el racismo para nosotros tiene que ser absoluta y no podemos permitir que cosas así pasen en un campo de fútbol en 2026.
Well, several of Vinicius' teammates responded to the incident with Kylian Mbappe refusing to say Prestiani's name, calling him the number 25 and insisting he doesn't deserve to play in the Champions League, while Trent Alexander-Arnold also spoke to the media after the match. This is what the former Liverpool fullback said. I can't comment too much as there is probably an ongoing investigation. What's happened tonight is a disgrace to football. It's overshadowed the performance, especially after such an amazing goal. Vinny has been subjected to this a few times throughout his career. There's no place for it in football or society. It's disgusting.
I do think at times it's I guess it's almost onto the players and their sort of kind of support and reaction. The biggest statement here would have been, you know, it's easy for me to say, isn't it? But because basically it's not me in that situation, but for all of the players to walk out, I would have loved it if both sides had walked off, to make it absolutely clear. Because basically someone sooner or later has to make that statement. Imagine that statement going throughout football. That would surely make people sit up and take notice, because it feels to me at this point that what's gone before hasn't done enough. It hasn't set the tone. It hasn't set the example. And players face like this. Vinicius Junior is a global superstar. He's one of the best players that the world has ever seen, frankly. He's absolutely a genius. And no one deserves this. But I tell you what, to have a high-profile player like that go through this and be targeted like that by opponents and potentially, you know, and then indeed fans. I just think it's sickening and absolutely shocking on all levels, to be honest.
We should be talking about Vinny Jr.'s magnificent goal. Chops in from the left-hand side onto his favoured right foot, puts it into the far corner. Little bit of magic that we needed in that game, and he's got that in abundance. And then, unfortunately, what followed that, the scenes, the incident from Gianluca Prestani, the outcome we will see, and then it followed. The referee did a good job in trying to calm it all down. We had a 10-minute break. Towards the end, things being thrown on, unacceptable. When I watch Champions League football, I want to watch quality football in European. And I do not want to be talking about this. Disgusting scenes. Should be talking about the goal.
Yeah, we should, but unfortunately we're not. James, look, it was a dark night for football, you'd have to say. And Vinicius Jr. really critical of UEFA's anti-racism protocol. So what are they?
Well, this is what triggered it. This is the referee, Francois Letexier. He made this crossed arm gesture, which is something that was brought in 2024 to trigger the anti-racism protocol from UEFA. It's a three-step protocol, which ultimately, if you get to the third step, can lead to the referee abandoning the match. But first things first, once he gets a report of a racist incident, either from a player on the pitch or the fourth official makes him aware of something that's gone on in the stand, then he can stop the match. So that's the first step. And then if it's something that's occurred in the crowd, then there'll be a public announcement. The fans will be urged to stop. Clearly, this is a slightly different incident because it occurred on the pitch, the alleged incident. Now, if this resumes after a second restart, then the referee can abandon the game. That's the third step. The second step would be the game being stopped for 5 to 10 minutes and the players taken off the pitch. Yesterday, we had 10 minutes between the goal being scored and play restarting. And this signal from the referee, as I mentioned, it's something that was only been brought in the last year or so. It's a global crossed arms gesture, the no racism gesture, and it's designed to empower players, referees, officials and fans as well. And it's clear UEFA want to point out there is no room for racism in the game. So we wait to see what happens next, but that's a bit of an explainer as to the anti-racism protocol that UEFA have brought in.
Look, unfortunately, it's not the first time that Vinny Jr. has been racially abused, is it?
It's shocking when you actually look at the number of incidents that have occurred, particularly since he's been in Spain, since 2022, in 10 separate Spanish stadiums. He suffered racist abuse. And it reached a point whereby Vinicius Jr. gave an interview in 2024 and he said he feels like less and less like playing football because of the incidents that have occurred in recent time. And it has been repeated, and things have gotten to a stage whereby 3 Valencia fans were sent to prison with suspended sentences because of racist abuse at a stadium 2 years ago. And the last year there was an unprecedented ruling where 5 people were given suspended prison sentences for racist abuse. And that was seen as unprecedented because it was the first time that in a Spanish court they judged racism and racist abuse in stadiums as a hate crime as well. So it shows that they are making some progress in Spain when it comes to trying to eradicate racism, but clearly alleged incidents like last night means and shows there's still plenty of work that needs to be done.
OK, let's get more on Vinicius Jr.'s racism allegation following incidents with Gianluca Prestiani and Real Madrid's 1-0 win in Benfica in the Champions League last night. Well, Vinny Jr. gave Real Madrid the lead with a fantastic strike before celebrating by the corner flag, where he was targeted by objects thrown from the home crowd. Before play restarted, Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani covered his mouth and said something to Vinicius, which caused the Brazilian to react immediately and report the comments to referee Francois Letexier, who subsequently halted play. Prestiani denies the accusations. Well, after the match, Benfica head coach Jose Mourinho downplayed the incident and was critical of Vinicius Jr.'s celebration, asking why he didn't celebrate like Pelé or Eusebio.
Álvaro ha optado por una perspectiva diferente. Kylian ha optado por una perspectiva diferente. Yo no quiero entrar por ahí. Única cosa que digo yo es que pasa en tantos estadios, siempre con lo mismo. Hay alguna cosa que no va. Yo a Vinicius en el campo yo le he dicho, tú marcas un gol de otro mundo. ¿Por qué celebras así? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no celebras como celebraba Di Stefano, Pelé, Eusebio? ¿Por qué no celebras un gol solo con la alegría de seres un jugador de otro mundo? Pasa siempre con lo mismo. Es la única cosa que no me entra.
Vinicius in 2024 in an interview said, if it happens again, I'm just going to walk off the pitch. You know, he's told people what's going to happen. He said, I'm going to need to take my own stand because I don't feel like football is doing enough for me. So if it happens again, I walk. It happened again. He said, you know, he tells the referee it's happened again and he walks. In that situation, I would have liked Real Madrid's players to walk off with him and say, no, we won't come back until that player is substituted. You know, you can say, well, that changes the dynamic of the game. So what? Football doesn't matter on a Tuesday night in the Champions League if it is allowed to take precedent over an incident of racial abuse. You just feel for Vinny. He will be sat there tonight thinking, well, what else do I have to do? You know, this is 1, 2, 3 times. You know, once is never, twice is always. It's happened 3 times. What does that mean? Can I ever trust to go on a pitch again in this competition and not be abused?
This is not, as you say, the first time it's happened to Vinicius. He's been sent off twice, I think, in Spain for instance, after being racially abused during the game. Honestly, what on earth are we thinking about here? Trent Alexander-Arnold describing it as a disgrace to football, I think, afterwards. Honestly, if this doesn't shine a light and really shame football and shame it into really taking stronger action against the perpetrators, against the people that do that, then really, I don't know where we are, because we're in a World Cup year and a strong message absolutely has to be sent out after this absolutely shocking, disgraceful episode.
Well, in the last few minutes, UEFA have released this statement. The official reports from the matches played last night are currently being reviewed. Where matters are reported, proceedings are open, and should they lead to disciplinary sanctions being imposed, they are announced on the UEFA disciplinary website. We have no further information to provide you or any further comment to make on this matter.
Happy they might be panicking about relegation, but the club, no plans to change the head coach right now. It is a case of fans panicking, but the board remaining calm.
Yeah, I think both of those are the case. Brighton is struggling right now for form. Coinciding with I think the level of the Premier League, that kind of mid-table, you'd say, is very high. Everybody beats everybody, and there's some high levels reached in the last 2 seasons. Brighton are in that, and I think the frustration from the fans is coming from they've seen a high standard of football, high turnaround, and also consistency, and also, let's face it, in that top half of the Premier League. Now they're not in that stage. Now they're losing, or there's a 1 win in 13.
Yeah, 1 in 13 in the league.
So that's not good form, and that's where the frustration is coming from. But I would say this, Mr. Hertzler, I like him a lot, and I think he's got a high ceiling of potential as a manager. I think Brighton would be worse off if they got rid of him.
OK, right, well, let's see what the Brighton fans think. Ryan Adsit joins us now. Ryan, first of all, how worried are you right now?
Oh, that's a big first question. I would say if we lose to Brentford and we go into that, the Forest game afterwards, who have also turned over their manager, then potentially you'd say worried about relegation. I wouldn't say that it's the biggest concern, but I would definitely say that relegation, the fact we're even having this conversation is crazy when you think about Brighton in the last couple of years.
I'm told that you were nodding and agreeing with everything Rob said until he said that Fabian Hertz is still the right man.
Yeah, I was actually. I thought he was actually spot on with the turnover, the amount of transfers that has happened between the clubs, of particularly Brighton and Chelsea, as we all know. I think we've had a lot of not just players leave, but also staff that have been borderline detrimental, I think, to some of the negotiations and stuff like that over the last couple of years. I think you have noticed a drop-off in terms of the players that have been brought in from Brighton as well. But I think in terms of the manager, now, for me, the boos being sort of the main focal point of this is kind of where it stems from. I think I wouldn't say he's the only one to blame, but I do think he's definitely a big portion of it. I think the style of play over the last couple of years has only suggested a regression in my eyes. I think when you saw him come in comparison to De Zerbi, you saw a complete change in style of play. And I think only being good for 15, 20 minutes a game is just not good enough for the Premier League standard. And unfortunately, you are just going to get left behind.
I got a question for you, actually. Is So where Brighton arrive right now in terms of how the fans see the team, is it because you've seen such a high level in the last couple of years and there's a frustration with that? And also not winning and players going out, is the frustration coming from that especially?
Yeah, I think there's been a high level. I think we've also, I've got to admit, we've let go of a lot of high-level players, of course. But I would argue we've still brought in a lot of high-level players, and we've still got a lot of high-level players. I think Mitoma, Minte, Van Hecke, for example, Beleba, they're all talked about for Champions League moves. And you think, well, if we've got Champions League quality players, but so to speak, right, potential players at this club, and I think Mitoma is, for me, still meant to be the best player for Brighton and one of the best I've ever seen at the club. In terms of high-quality players, I would argue, yeah, he's unbelievable. I still think he's underrated. That would be my hot take. But I think in terms of players I physically witnessed with my own eyes, I believe that we've got a more than capable squad. The issue is we're not maximising the absolute potential out of these players anymore, and we're not really utilising them in the same way. You see, for example, Mats Wiefer comes in and our technical director called him the best deep line playmaker in the world at the time. We've only seen him play right back. And it's so baffling at times. You're thinking, Brighton used to be the club where players would come in and you would see a complete progression in not just them as a player, but them as a person. And they would turn into this absolute machine that they can be. Whereas now you kind of just see the players get loaned out, they kind of fizzle out. And, we might make signings and people start questioning the transfer fees. Are they actually that good? And I think I'm not quite so sure.
Isn't this a realistic position, though, for Brighton right now? Because there's been injuries this year and last year, of course, new manager. But also, I think the high level of De Zerbi's football was one of the best we've seen. Now there's a drop-off with Hertzler and the injuries. Is it not more realistic that Brighton this is the position for them this year?
Can I hit you with a stat there before you answer that, because this is relevant to it? Ryan, this has probably been levelled at you before, but Fabian Hertzler, 64 Premier League games, 92 points, all right? Roberto De Zerbi, after 64 Premier League games, 93 points. There's only 1 point difference. So when we talk about the highs of De Zerbi, it's almost identical.
Yeah, you could say it's identical. I think you also look at the two squads, especially in De Zerbi's second end to his reign. I think that second half is insane. We were playing in European football 3 games a week with a worse and weakened squad in comparison to what it was when he got to Europe. We lost Caicedo and McAllister, didn't replace them. And I think you could clearly see that we were absolutely, legs were burnt out. And everything that he was saying at the time was fair. And I think everyone agreed with him at the time. And I think once that transition comes in, obviously, I think we finished 11th, and that was quite disappointing at the time. We've brought in a lot better players since then. We've spent, I think, £250 million in Fabian Hertzler, and we've also signed some exceptional players. I've got to say it. We've signed some very good individual players. I think I wouldn't so much look at the points per game progression. I'd probably look at player by player progression, and I'd look at the individuals at this club. I could accept if we were sort of losing games and we were down at the bottom and we were playing very good football. You could see that there was a real progression still in the club, whereas I just don't think that still exists. And for you to say realistic, I just wanted to answer that piece. Was it realistic for this club that I watched in League One to be playing in Europe, in Amsterdam? I don't think so.
Yeah, good point.
Are you spoiled then now?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they are. But Ryan, thank you.
I wish.
Have denied having any contact with Jurgen Klopp's agent after claims the club made an inquiry about the former Liverpool boss taking over at Old Trafford. An article in Transfer Market published today claims both United and Chelsea approached Klopp's representative at some point after the German left Anfield. We at Sky Sports News also understand that Chelsea deny making any contact. Mark Kazicki also claims that Klopp could have replaced Gareth Southgate as the England boss. Well, Klopp is currently global football director for Red Bull, having left Liverpool after 9 years. When he left, he said he wouldn't return to club management and wouldn't manage another Premier League club other than Liverpool. Well, this is what Mark Kazicki has told Transfer Market then. Maybe at some point he'll say he needs to smell the locker room again. But at the moment, he's very, very happy in his role. Before joining Red Bull, Jurgen could have coached the USA or England, probably also Germany, if Julian Nagelsmann hadn't already been there. Even Chelsea and Manchester United inquired, although Jurgen had clearly stated that he would not coach any other club in England. These inquiries keep coming. He's extremely happy with what he's achieved, and it's still wonderful to go down in history as one of the few coaches who only managed 3 clubs and were never fired.
But if he was to win this game, you might as well build a statue of him and put it outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Where do you want your statue, Igor? Tim Shields in no doubt. He knows a thing or two as well about being in charge of Spurs. He feels that bar set very high for the new short-term boss, Igor Tudor. First up for him, the North London derby. So how might he set up his side for this crunch game? Well, the evidence suggests it will be a 3 at the back. It's something actually that Thomas Frank had tried towards the end of his time in charge. And if you look back at Tudor's managerial career in the top 5 European leagues, he started games with 3 at the back on 120 occasions. That is the bit in red. Only 4 times has he used a back 4. That little sliver there were the 4 times he used 4 at the back. Let's drill down a little bit further and see which system he's likely then to employ at Spurs. The most common one that Tudor has utilised is a 3-4-2-1. He has used that 87 times in the top 5 leagues. Who might that benefit in the Spurs side? Maybe Xavi Simons would prefer playing inside as one of 2 number 10s, maybe. And if he decides to go with 2 strikers, 3-5-2, he's played on 16 occasions. What about Randal Kolo Muani? He played under Tudor at Juventus, sometimes on his own up front, other times as part of a front 2. He's yet to score a Premier League goal, but got 5 in 11 under Tudor at Juve. It's unlikely the new head coach will be in North London for a long time. He's initially joined until the end of the season, with 12 Premier League games left. The longest he has spent in charge of a club was actually right at the beginning of his managerial career. 70 games he spent in charge of #Split. It's been fewer than 50 everywhere else he has been since then. He joined Juve in March. This was his latest managerial appointment, but was sacked in October after just 7 months in charge. He's here for a short time and a good time. Don't know, we'll find out.
Yes, maybe not a long time. Matt, this is a fascinating appointment. As someone who we know has got a soft spot for Spurs, what do you make of it?
We don't know, which is a crazy thing to say because he hasn't managed in the Premier League. That's not to say that he won't be a success. It's just to say that we don't know a huge amount about him at the moment. We can obviously see that he's a firmly experienced manager. He's got lots of credibility behind him in Europe. But it won't matter too much about him. I think it's still the players. Of course, he's coming in, but it's still now the same group of players that need to maybe be managed differently to get the best out of them. It'll be interesting to see how he goes about it, what his management style will be. Will he go in there and be a disciplinarian? Because if you listen to some of the statements and some of the noise coming out of the club, they want to compete more in performances and they want to stabilise on the pitch. What does that say for the previous manager? Does that mean that performances were too up and down? Well, they were because they weren't getting enough results. So it seems to me that the football club in Tottenham Hotspur have looked at him and gone, he's a safe pair of hands until the end of the season, when we can hand it off to maybe Poch if he wants to come back. So, look, there's 12 huge cup finals for Tottenham. It does seem crazy that they could get relegated this season. It's bonkers when you think about it. So what Spurs need to do and what Igor Tudor needs to do is he needs to go in there from day one, get the boys doing the basics and the team doing the basics really well. You look at Manchester United, the upturn they've had since Michael Carrick's gone in. There's going to need to be something along those lines at Tottenham.
He needs the buy-in from the players straight away, though, doesn't he? Because we saw some of that sort of fractious relationship with Thomas Frank towards the end. You know, those scenes on the pitch that time, I know this was a while ago now, but when Van der Ven and Jed Spence sort of seemed to ignore the manager, you got Christian Romero, their captain, coming out and, you know, criticising the club effectively. So it feels like he's got to kind of hit the ground running, yes, with results, but also with the buy-in from the players and that relationship.
I think what he's got to go in on day one and lay it down, put the line down very firmly, and it's going to be done his way. The players will have to get on with it. Look, I've never been one that is in any way, shape or form happy with with players coming out on social media and having an opinion about the football club. I don't believe that should happen at any level of football, but it has happened. So, look, he's got a tough job to do. It's a really, really difficult job. They've still got Champions League football as well to maybe distract them from the Premier League. But let's not get away from the fact that the most important thing for Tottenham Hotspur to do is to stay in the Premier League this season. And then you look at it, that happens, there's a huge rebuild in the summer again.
I mean, it's 16th in the Premier League, 5 points above West Ham and above the bottom three at the moment. What, realistically, we heard what Tim Sherwood was saying there, but what for you is a sort of good end to the season for Spurs?
Progress in the Champions League, obviously, but let's look away from that. That Spurs should be finishing and competing for the top 6 in the league every year with the money that they've spent, with the players that they have, with the infrastructure commercially, with everything that football club is, but they're not. So there's been a disconnect somewhere along the way. I look at it from the outside in and look at it as a football fan. It seems to me that the team that's on the pitch and the hierarchy, they need to reconnect with the supporters. The supporters are disgruntled at the moment. Yes, they're disgruntled maybe because tactics that the previous manager had used. But I think when you're a Tottenham fan and speaking to Spurs fans, there's a certain way that you expect the game to be played. There's certain sort of DNA that you expect to see on the pitch. Spurs fans haven't seen that, and they've obviously had enough of it. They made their feelings well known. The previous manager is gone. What they need to do now is back the new manager coming in. But it's the players still that have to do it. And this is what's crazy, that the manager will have all of the pressure, but it's the players that need to go out and perform.
And not to look too far ahead, because, look, it's a really, really important few months. But you talk about the fan sentiment there. I imagine fans, it will be music to their ears hearing the thought of Mauricio Pochettino returning to North London.
Yeah, be music to my ears as a Tottenham fan. Of course it would. Yeah, I think he understands the club. He gets it. He's been there. He's probably got unfinished business. If I'm honest with you, I was working at the football club when he was manager. Great guy, fantastic around the place. Look, he's got another job which everyone has to be respectful of until the end of the World Cup. But I would imagine that the Spurs hierarchy will be doing everything they possibly can to get him back to London and back to Tottenham Hotspur.
And you said before about the remainder of their Premier League games now being like cup finals, every single one of them. I mean, Arsenal next on the weekend. What a first match in charge for this guy.
Yeah, it's somewhat, Tim said it there, somewhat of a free hit, because crazy, but Arsenal will go into this game, even though it's at Tottenham, as heavy favourites. So there won't be any expectation. I think what Spurs need to do is be really resolute without the ball and attack with pace, with power, with quality when they get their moments in the game and take them. If he wins this game, all of a sudden, the gloom around the football club lifts. And Tim said it, he can ruin Arsenal's season, which is crazy. They've been going so well in the league. They've had a little bit of a blip, obviously. They'll be hoping that this is their point at which now it changes and they get back to winning ways. But yeah, I'm massively excited to watch this game.
You and me both. Right, well, what a first.